Hello and welcome back to the arena. As usual, on a Monday evening, we are hosting the PokerStars Sunday Million. It is a $109 buy-in with a $1 million prize pool. We have 63 players remaining, and we have a first prize of over $108,000. This week, there might not be any James Harlequin, there might not be any Joseph Stapleton, but you will get to follow the action all the way down to a winner. It is myself, Fintan, joined by one of my best friends in the entire world, Mr. Parker Talbot. How are you doing, buddy?
Good, brother. Good. How are you doing?
I'm a little bit nervous because I don't know how we've been put in control of the command center. I don't really know what's going on. That on PokerStars Central, it's Fintan and Parker Talbot called in the action. I'm very excited to catch up with you, and I'm very excited to do a little bit of commentary. I have been off the Twitch streets for a little while. I've missed you. I've missed the people on Twitch. I've missed Twitch chat, man. I have missed Twitch chat.
Hey, give it a day.
Give it a day, and I'll be like, I need another month off. Are you okay with doing some Twitch content when someone other than your second half? You slid in there, and the dynamic duo went from me and Sprague to Sprague. Like, did you get written permission in your contract that you're allowed to do something with Sprague?
To not to not make content with Sprague? Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. It was a tough negotiation part, but yeah, we did get that in there eventually.
All right, we are picking up the action here as we straight away see the all-in. I feel very, very rusty on the poker streets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and make you laugh the odd time, and you're going to call all the poker action, and you're going to give your insight as one of the best players in the game today, and I'm just going to sit here and try and learn from you if you're okay with that for the evening.
Hey, that sounds good. I mean, obviously, we'll do what we can, but don't be too rough on yourself. What have you been out of the game for a couple weeks now? Like a month or so? Like not too long.
No, it's been a month.
You had a massive score, and then streamed for like a month or so, and then.
Well, I just had that massive score, and then I was like, I'm just going to ride off into the sunset. But PokerStars told me they'd sue me, and to make it up to them, I had to come and do some commentary and then get back on the grind. So we're back.
That's fair, though. That's fair. That is fair. So Money is your chip leader, right?
Money is our chip leader with a monster stack, 5.3 million. I'm actually going to ask you straight away, what would you call this in the small blind? Would you overcall the King Jack suited? Because I would be pumping it up, but that could be a mistake.
No, I mean, I'd definitely be pumping it up too with his stack and those guys there too. Like, I'd be throwing my weight around with King Jack suited too, for sure.
Price of poker be going up a little bit.
Loose 3-bet here from the Ace 4 too. Not bad, I would say, but 4 ways it is. It does feel a bit frisky, but it's gonna work.
So interesting.
Maybe.
I would not fold either of these two hands in the small blind or the big blind. So okay. We have 63 players left. Obviously, the people playing the Sunday Million aren't always going to be the most experienced of players. So sometimes you see people playing tight. Sometimes you see people getting crazy aggressive and trying to force that big stack going towards the final table. At this point, when you're in the tournament, you're just doing it? I guess 63 players is still a long way away, right? You can't really be forcing the issue too much with a big stack.
Well, I mean, you can, though, in certain ways, but like it just depends on how other people are going to react around you, you know? Like, if people aren't really going to care about being pushed around and just push back, then you obviously just naturally can't do too much pushing around. Which maybe Money knows that about these players, and that's why he did 3-bet or something. But yeah, you know, it's these days in poker, you know, it's always it's difficult. It's difficult to say anything with certainty anymore.
Listen, are you ready for this, chat? Get out your pens, get out your pencils. We might see some action with aces against ace jack here, but
whoa, just a fold with the ace jack. Wow, the man knows.
There were some predictions prior to this broadcast how long it might go on, and if people keep folding the hands that we've seen so far, this could be like the longest Sunday Million,
the longest Sunday Million of all time. Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Basically, chat, get your pen and pencils out and get your little piece of paper. And if anyone ever asks you a strategy question in 2021, if you just say, it's a mix, they probably can't argue with you. Don't say anything else. Don't explain your thought process. Just say it's a mix. Because it's probably at least a 1% you're doing something else. Even in a spot where it's like you're always betting, there'll be like a 1% check. So just say it's a mix. It sounds smart. And that's all we're doing.
It's funny when I see Sam in here in the commentary booth and I hear him, say stuff like that. He says it all the time. I think Sam's like really good commentator, and like it's literally just the way it is now. It's like what you're saying, but I hear Sam say that all the time. Like, yeah, but he's probably going for a mix here, and I'm like, yeah, he probably is. You're right.
I actually shout out to Sam Grafton. I think he is an amazing commentator. I think he's fantastic.
Agreed.
He's so charismatic and I guess he's just a UK P. Diddy, isn't he? The UK Parker. You guys walk into a room, just light it up.
Sam is way louder, way more involved than I am. I feel like if you could ask anybody in a poker room, you will know Sam is in there. Everyone in the room knows that Sam is in a poker room when he's in a poker room. You know,
Sam Grafton was definitely the first name on a live poker tour that I knew as a reg.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Here, blind versus blind, we have two pretty weak hands. The Queen 5 gets checked to, and rocking the BRBs?
Suburbs, rocking the suburbs.
See, James Hardigan's normally here when I'm on, and I always let him say the name before I do, so I don't butcher it. And I've obviously just called out one name, and I have to get saved by you.
Rocking the SBR? Dude, I've noticed that over the years, how many Twitch names are shouting out subs that I have just absolutely butchered, you know? And like there's a few that are just like jokes now that I just like always call the wrong name. Like there's an Eric, and I just call him Aris. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, there's a few lads who've been watching my stream for many years and I still get their names wrong. Not my strong point.
Interesting to see what Rockin' the Suburbs does, though. He does fold. So nice little bluff there. The Queen 5. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where even if you are ahead, like we saw he was, it's really difficult to improve to a much better hand, and your opponent is basically always going to have a bunch of outs, basically, no matter what they have. And pretty obvious with that one because they had open-end straight draw, flush draw, and one overcard because they were blocking the Queen.
And this is why Parker gets paid the big bucks. Did you hear all that?
I don't know if that's why.
So have you been on the grind much? Have you been playing much poker? Obviously, summer, everyone was grinding all winter. Did you treat yourself to a little bit of time off, or you still been rocking up?
I've been doing a bunch of outdoor activities recently, but yeah, we've been streaming, we've been grinding. Haven't been in the Zoom streets quite as much as I wanted to at this point, but I've been playing a bunch of sit and goes on stream because there's 6 max sit and goes.
Have you come to the realization?
18-man sit and goes have been running. It's been really fun.
Have you come to the realization that you can't beat the 500 Zoom streets? Is that what happened?
No. That's not it. I can do it. I just need to work a bit harder.
All right, we have a first pretty interesting spot here. Oh, so we see the re-raise off the 25 bigs rather than shove. That would scare the living daylights out of me. If
I bet we're going to see a fold here, right? I mean, this guy just folded ace-jack offsuit in the small blind a second ago to a single raise, so like I would assume that we're going to see him fold the ace-queen here.
I would be shocked
and then
if they get it in.
Would also assume the 5s will fold and the jacks will just take it down. Kind of surprised to see the squeeze, though, and not just a jam from the jacks.
Yeah, it's kind of on the borderline. It's like, if you've got queens plus, you're probably going to re-raise and call it off. But like ace-king off and jacks, I would normally just shove. It could be. He could know something about these pairs as well, right? He could know something about the button and he wants to induce rather than just shove.
I would just assume that most players would just by default jam in the jacks. Wow, we see a call from the 5s, looking for the set. And curious to see what Pure does here. Could go for the small bet or the check.
It's one of those boards.
A player that does the 3-bet, the not all in 3-bet here, you could potentially even see like a jam on the flop, just looking to get it in now.
You won't be too scared of this board, right? Like your opponent can of course have king queen suited. They're unlikely to have king jack suited when you have the exact holding that you have, making it pretty unlikely. And I don't think we're going to see any offsuit kings call here. So even though that board looks somewhat scary because there's an overcard, I don't think it's that bad.
He is in the mix with pocket 5s though, so like I wouldn't put it past him being in the mix with like a king queen or a king jack offsuit even potentially. Normally I wouldn't, but seeing that he has or that they have played the 5s here, it opens it up for them to definitely be playing a little bit of a looser range of hands. Oh, and he hits his jacks, so there's going to be a bet now.
You would imagine so. Are we just all in?
Tough to say. Probably. Yeah. Not going to... Goes for the small bet. Probably any bet should work here. I don't think they could look you up with 5s. It would be really tough to find a bluff that 5s is ahead of. Have to have like ace X of suited ace or something, a small suited ace.
All right, so we've seen a raise with 10-8 suited in first position. I thought, given what we've seen so far, we might see this as a fold. Rocking the suburbs with a hand that always hurts my soul to fold. But
But you just gotta fold it here.
oh my god, don't waste your time banging on the 10-9 suited.
They really didn't want to fold it, did they? No surprise to the ace-9 suited coming along. And we will see a squeeze, and likely a takedown.
We did see SHTV flat the previous one, but
True,
poker
true.
fives are a lot easier to play in 3-bet pots, I would say, than ace-9
Right.
suited.
Just looking for their set, right?
No set, no bet. It's always been the way.
No set, no bet. Yeah.
That ace-9 suited, would you ever re-raise with that one pre-flop? Because I'd probably be more inclined to raise with ace-9, ace-8 suited there, but it might not be a good thing to do.
I probably feel like I would want to call a little bit more, just because ace-9 suited feels like a little bit strong to like 3-bet fold, and maybe use more like a ace-7, ace-6, maybe even ace-4,
Okay.
ace-3, and then call like the ace-5 and the ace-9, ace-8, something like that. But you saying could be wrong. I could also be wrong as well. I'm not really too sure. Maybe in a once you get deeper in the tournament, we become in more and more into like an ICM scenario, where the value of our stack is worth more money than what the chips previously were. So maybe we just end up 3-betting a lot more and we do a lot less calling, even with only 60 people left in the tournament.
Nice. Also, I want to give a shout out to the people that in the Twitch chat are saying hello. I see a lot of regulars. I was just trying to concentrate on doing an intro and not absolutely butchering it and having James Hardigan on the phone telling them to get me out of the boot. But it is great to see you all. I'm very excited to get back onto the Twitch streets, and we see it all in and quick folds here.
So what kind of streaming plan have you got coming up for us then? Streaming this week?
So, I'm gonna do Tuesday to Thursday this week, and then next week, we see it all in on a very quick call. It is ace-5 suited versus 2 5s, SNINI. One needs a deuce or an ace, and does not get it. You got to be on the ball in these all-9 all-ins. James Hardigan never misses
they're
a
very
drink.
speedy, aren't they? He does it. He does them swiftly.
So yeah, I'm gonna do 3 days this week, 3 days next week, and then full-on grind for 10 months. Never taking a break again.
Full on grind for 10 months, never a day off?
Nah, like just like 40, 50 hours a week. I actually like the idea of kind of what Bench has done. I don't know if he intended it or it was just with the way COVID worked out and then trying to see Marley, but potentially just doing literally August to May, which is like when the majority of the online poker takes place, and then taking a little summer break. I think it's not the worst idea.
Yeah, honestly, it's nice, for sure.
We see.
I'm sure he's enjoying his time off.
He doesn't look like it from when I read his tweets. It just seems to be complaining about live poker.
He is but that's just Benjamin though. He's just a big time complainer, isn't he? That's just kind of how he operates.
I just can't tell sometimes when it's a serious tweet and when it's a kind of baity tweet, and I don't know if he knows.
He's such a dry man. It's difficult.
I don't know if he knows. I just don't know if he knows. He might. Tom says, glad to have you and Tonkaaaap. Thank you very much. I think this is our first time ever doing commentary together, where just actually full stop. I think it's our first time ever doing commentary together.
For sure. I mean, I've never done commentary on this channel without Hardigan or Staves here.
Oh, me either. That's why I was like, so the first time we're doing this without James or Joe, it's with me and Parker. Okay.
And you're in control too. I'm just back here, sat. You've got the extra.
I was told I just need to get through the intro, and then it's just like sitting back, relaxing, having a chat with my mates. So we are in this together. If anything goes wrong, it happened to both of us.
Well, it'll be your fault, but yeah.
So we see.
So not too much action right now, huh?
Yeah, it's been a little bit quiet, but maybe people just settling in, just finishing their cup of tea. They just had their evening dinner, and they don't want to bust in the first couple of minutes. There's nothing worse. Oh, actually, do you know what? I was going to say there's nothing worse than busting straight away in a day two, but I actually think like busting 10 minutes before the end of a day one is like the nut low feeling. And it shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. But when you're streaming and you got a big stack and you're like flying into day two and you're like, I'm going to compete with the big streamers. We're going to go. Lex, I don't care. I'm playing for 200 grand. And then you just like bust to like 150 big blind pot. My heart melts. So sad.
Yeah, I've done it like 3 weeks in a row in the Bounty 530. Yesterday was the first like day first Sunday in like 4 or 5 weeks in the Bounty 530 where I didn't bubble the Bounty 530 day 2 by half an hour. I swear it was like three weeks in a row. Just absolutely got crushed in the last half an hour.
Absolutely.
Interesting spot here.
Yeah, quite close.
Would assume the king queen will just end up folding. I mean, it's just a little bit too much of their stack. If they had 3 or 4 million, they might feel a little bit more inclined to gamble. And it would be a nice gamble here, of course, as we can see they are flipping. But the times when they're dominated against ace king, ace queen, even queens, kings, aces, it's just a little bit too costly with their million chip stack.
Yeah, I think at this point of the Sunday Million, regardless of my stack there, I might just fold if I don't know the player. If I was against the reg, it would of course change like my thoughts. But if I don't know someone and we're 10 minutes into day 2 of the Sunday Million, I don't think you're going to do too well with king queen there. But king queen is the original stars nuts, so you can never do too bad.
Assume we probably see a jam from money here. I don't really think he wants to raise call 20 blinds against either of these guys.
Ooh, that's a snap call with
A7. A7, my goodness.
Oh,
off to the races. All right.
That is going to be GG for Hantry, and it looks like we are going to get ourselves a brand new table. Pick up the action straight away with Stan Silla versus MFP. That was a snap call with A7.
That was definitely unexpected.
Yeah, maybe in chips it's a call, but I would be very concerned about calling there with A7 myself. But it could be good. Again, I'm rusty. I'm not sure.
I doubt that you would want to make that call without having some kind of hard read on your opponent that they only shove like small aces or something like that, because I think it's just going to be pretty losing, especially in the deep in a tournament like this.
This is gangster. I don't know if you've seen that, but we just seen the small bet from Stancilla get raised by MFP and picks it up with the king jack no diamond. It's nice aggressive play. Stancilla's come here for a good time. Stancilla's here for a good time. Yeah,
Stancilla's here to battle. We should see Big Dog put it in, presumably if they know anything about this player, right? With the ace-9 on the button.
Stancilla, I would imagine, will be getting involved here, given what we've seen so far. That is my expert opinion. And there we have it, the flat call with the ace-2 suited. We do see Teddy Punk with ace-queen suited on the button. We see the pocket fours in the small. If I'm Teddy Punk and I have
ace-queen suited in the small blind. Ace-queen suited in the small blind.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I thought that was a big blind from a rock in the suburbs. My bad. So I would definitely be squeezing this up, and given what we've seen from Stancilla, very comfortably getting it in against them. Obviously, you're getting it in against anyone once you raise here, but it's a very inviting spot from what we've picked up. Now, we've only been watching 3-4 hands, but Stancilla looks like they're here to gamble.
I think we have enough information from seeing the cards up to assume that he will be in the mix. He or she will be in the mix.
Fold from rock in the suburbs. Can't get in with the 7s here. Oh, okay.
Here we go.
It's a safe flop for Teddy Punk.
Pair for the chop. Sign to lose Stancilla right away.
We had some fun times, but not a long enough time.
I would have liked to see what Stancilla could have done if they would have got a stack there. There would have been some absolute action.
So, strategy question number 1 for real to you. Sunday Million, 11.7 big blinds. Are you raising up with these aces rather than just shoving when you don't know anyone?
I'm definitely not shoving. I'd either min raise or I'd come in for a limp, but I definitely wouldn't shove. Yeah, I might do the tricky limp. Just absolutely guarantee yourself some action, guarantee yourself some pain. We do see a defend from the Jack-8 though, so not really too sure about that, to be honest. Really, really questionable situation. I feel like it's one of those spots where like it's cheap, obviously, and you are very shallow, so it's easy to get your money in. But like on a board like this, for example, what are you doing when facing a bet? Obviously, you're going to continue in some way. I would assume if you're calling with Jack-8 before the flop and finding a gut shot. I doubt you're folding, but it feels kind of awkward, like you want to raise, but your opponent's range is probably going to be so weighted towards exactly what they have here. I don't really think you're going to find a ton of players min-raise folding off of 12 blinds deep in the million. Definitely some, especially if they are playing well, because they'll need to have other hands other than aces, of course. But yeah, it's a tricky spot. to play the big blind against some of these small stack opens, I'd say.
I think it's a really tough spot to want to bluff. I think it's really
tough
tough.
spot. Yeah, because I think the big dog has like a ton of queen X still. Like I don't think he absolutely has to bet his queen X on the turn. I think he can like happily check it back with only 402K in the middle and 416,000 just back. He can easily just jam the river with a queen and get paid.
It's also rocking the suburbs. Like if they want to bet, they can't really go big, I don't think, because a lot of the time they're going to play for stacks with the queen on the flop, and it's like you're not repping a lot.
For sure. Yeah, they'd kind of be repping like a backdoor flush here, and even then, you're kind of scared because your opponent can have a boat with a queen. It's a weird spot for both players. Like even in the big dog spot here, he feels in a very questionable spot whether or not he should even value jam, since the only thing that you're targeting at this point is a 9, right? Because a queen has you beat. Probably doesn't have many 2s because he probably just folds most of the hands with the 2 in them before the flop. But the ones that he does have even now beat him, of course, with a boat. So literally only targeting a 9. Tough spot.
I would shove these 7s on the button. I'm not sure what you'd be up to, but I would probably just wager all of the betting discs. I don't know if I want to induce in 7s. Don't know if I want to let the big blind defend, but we do see Shipman raise an Ivy in the big blind with the 9-8 suited, quite naturally not going to be folding.
Did you just call him Shitman?
Shimman.
Oh, Sherman. Okay, sorry.
Dude, come on. Look. It's my Irish accent, all right? I'm back.
It gets me every time you do this, by the way. I always think you're giving me the finger. You point your glass up with your middle finger.
I do. I actually do. I don't know if I always do it with my middle finger, but we are swapping tables. Lolita Lopez, someone I have played many hands of poker against.
Many hands, of course, yeah.
Always on the grind.
Heard the same thing. Yeah, see? Thank you. Leita folding the ace-jack here. Pretty surprising to me. Would expect to see them play that hand the majority of the time. That's multiple times. That's the second time so far in our short half an hour of coverage so far here that we've seen ace-jack offsuit folded to a single raise at 30 big blinds. Just really don't expect to see it. And both times they were wrong, I believe.
Lolita Lopez is getting involved. If the 9-10 suited gets folded in the small blind, there's going to have to be words.
Okay, well, we'll be seeing probably a bet and a call here at a minimum. So far, everything to plan. We could easily see another bet and another call. Leda Lopez has a pretty juicy hand here for continuing the bluff, continuing the story. Oh, that was not expected. Don't really think that this makes a ton of sense.
When you're in a small blind rather than the big.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even from the big blind at this point, I don't know if it makes a ton of sense because it's not like you're going to have 8-5 offsuit. You're only going to have 10-8 offsuit compared to your opponent not having 10-8 offsuit for the share of the absolute nuts here.
The one thing though, would you expect someone against the big blind to bet big with a lot of their good value on the flop though?
No, not necessarily. Not at 25 big blinds here, especially not deep in the million. I don't really think. I think they would have all of their good hands in the small bet size. I think it'd be honestly a little bit more rare to see a big bet size here at this stack depth.
Wow.
We do see it all in the bluff, and AK has like a very good bluff catcher here. I mean, they played the hand unconventionally with the turn bet, but I mean, I'd say the 10 is pretty reasonable here. No spades.
Do you not think it's a problem with like Jack 10 and King 10, like hands that definitely wouldn't fold a turn?
For sure, those are some hands. Oh my goodness, and we do see the call. Wow, that's a wild hand. Yeah, you're definitely right in there, but they made the hand like very weird with the turn lead. I mean, I'm not really too sure how Leda Lopez is going to respond on the turn. Maybe they'll raise a lot of their good hands. So maybe having a 9 is actually completely irrelevant because if Leda Lopez has a 9 with a value hand, like a 2 pair, like a Queen 9 or a 9-7 suited, I believe, then they probably will raise the turn. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting hand, a pretty wild one.
It's a sick call to start us off. Anyway, tell me about what outdoor activities you've been doing. You said at the start of the broadcast that you've been keeping busy, you've been outdoors. What have you been doing?
Yeah, I told you before you started golfing, and you said that at the same time you also just started golfing.
Well, do you know what pitch and putt is? Is that thing in Canada? It's like holes that are... So it's like holes that are between 50 and 100 meters long.
Oh shit. Okay, so it's just we do everything in fucking yards as well. Obviously in North America.
Okay, so whatever, 1,525 yards or something. I don't know.
But
I
yeah,
don't know what.
obviously I can understand what chip and putt means. You know, you're probably not using the
Yeah, yeah,
driver. You're
yeah.
probably chipping and
You
putting.
just bring a
So
sandwich in.
okay, nice. That's sweet. I'd love to do that actually. So you started with that?
Yeah, but then I got cocky, went to the range twice in the space of 3 days, 120 balls both days, and then the morning after the second time, I'm not exaggerating, like I was stuck to my bed and I couldn't lift myself up. Like I was in a terrible, terrible, terrible state. I'm
Got
old,
some
man.
Queen Jacko crime here, just to come back to the action real quick. Assuming it's just going to go with a bet and a fold, unless Beastish and Gray gets up to no good, but they will not.
Do you fancy
You played
yourself a
the
little
spike
bit?
ball? Nah, don't. Oh, do I fancy myself in golf, or do I fancy myself with Queen Jack Rays?
No, 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 no. The golf, the golf, the golf.
The golf. I mean, I've golfed 2 times before, and then I golfed 1 time and I've been to the range like I don't know 4 or 5 times in the last couple weeks or whatever. I would say I'm like above average for like the amount of effort or the amount that I should be that I put in. I can hit the ball. I'm
Can
better
you
at.
can you bang it straight?
I cannot drive the ball straight, but like I can do I can chip. I can chip like okay. Honestly, it's not that bad, and I can get the ball straight with the driver sometimes, but probably like I probably get the ball like nice and good and hit it hard like 8 out of 10 times, and then straight like
What?
1 out of 10
Oh,
times.
sorry. I thought you were saying like straight, hard, nice and good, 8 out of 10 times.
No,
It's
no,
like,
no,
dude,
no. Like
that's
8 out of 10
get
times,
you
you
on
get
the
like
PGA Tour.
a good rip with a nice little curve.
But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, if there's any golf experts out there, I'm sure you can tell me what I'm doing wrong. But every single one I hit goes straight. But then when it's like halfway down the shot, it just whips itself to the right. So it starts straight and then it goes like 70 yards, 80 yards off the fairway to the right, like miles. Like when I, at the driving range with the driver. So I don't know what I do wrong.
Just get a lesson. Just get a lesson. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna get what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Nah, just a 1 hour lesson where like someone smart is like, hey, yeah, let me point you in the right direction. These 3 little simple spots, and you'll just be way better.
No,
Because
I
like
will.
that's
I will. I will. Dude, I've played 4 times and I've already bought a set of golf clubs. I went up to buy a sand wedge and a putter, and it was like €250 for the 2 clubs together, and it was like €299 for a full set, the worst set in the shop. And I was like, all right, I'm in. But I am getting told here that I've got an open club face, so apparently an easy fix. There you go. Now I don't even need a lesson. I just need to close the face of my club, and I'm going to be out there saying, "What up, Tiger? What up, boys? The new kid on the block can drive at 270 straight every time now."
when are you coming to Canada so we can get some golf gambling in?
Dude, I went to Canada last. I think the last. No, that's not true. You've definitely been to Europe way more than I've been to Canada. I would love to go, dude, but I don't know what the world is going to let me do.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? So it looks like we see, picking up the action here, we see a raise and a call from the big blind, check down all the way to the river. Assume we're going to see a value bet here from Beast. Maybe not. Maybe they go for the tight check back, but I think it's like a very plausible spot to put in a little half pot bet. Try to get a bit of payment, and we could easily see the payment. I like the bet. I like the size. All looks good. And, I like the fold. That's a disciplined fold. Not necessarily expecting that. Pick up the action this hand. King Jack looks like they opened and got 3-bet by the big blind. To a flop we come, and it is a serious action board. See a 1/3 bet from Ace Queen suited, and we'll see how the King Jack suited is going to continue. Assume most people are just going to call here, but we might see a raise.
Yeah, both players got to be pretty happy. I would be somewhat cautious of Rays getting this in against a Sunday Million big blind 3-better.
An amazing turn card for the big blind. Would honestly love to see a check with their hand as well. Nothing can really go wrong with the ace queen of clubs now. The only thing that can go wrong in this hand is that your opponent will fold. So
and if it goes check on the turn, you can always shove the river without any issue.
For sure. If you do opt to bet, though, I think using a small size would probably be the play. Again, just because our hand is so strong. Wow, great fold. And see, that's kind of exactly what we're talking about there with the big bet. If you just bet, 300K or 350K on the turn,
we swap tables to catch this big all-in, though. It's 2.8 million, and Seb is going to be out of there losing to the ace king. Sorry to get across you.
No, good. You're all good. Pick up the action. Absolute mayhem right now.
Yeah, it's also a tough turn, I believe, to want to bet a huge amount. Like, I think you want to check it a lot, even with your value outside of Queen X. Now, maybe that's not right. Maybe you go with a smaller size, so that way it's hard to bluff for that size. Like, for such a big bet, like, do you really want to just be betting like Ace King, Aces for that size? I don't think so. So if you use the smaller size, you can accomplish betting wider with your value and your bluffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have another Ace-Jack situation.
Let's see if they fold this time. Presumably not. Presumably we will see an all-in here and a call.
Yeah, the 5s is...
Oh!
Okay. See the defend.
Not the craziest thing ever, to be honest. I can see the merits of this for sure.
It's a very tough spot on the flop, though. Obviously, we can see that they should probably get it in, but it's very, very tough spot.
This is the problem with calling, though, isn't it? This is the problem with calling, right? Is like you've just allowed 5s to take it down without fully realizing your equity. So yeah, I mean, I would have just put it in, but maybe they did make the right move, but maybe they're supposed to just like donk jam it in on the flop, you know, and not allow those 5s to do exactly what they did. Like if you stop and go there and you just call pre-flop and then you jam most boards, even that one right there, you know, what would they have done with 5s? Do you think they're going to put it in?
I would call 5s there. Like I would never fold 5s against someone who's stop and go with me there for a pot, but they will with other hands. It's going to work. Like if they have Ace 5 suited, I'd fold. I don't know if that's right. Wow, did they just snap folded there? They had a double gutter.
Yeah, that's pretty, and a backdoor flush draw. I think we're seeing a lot of tight moves in the million. Not really surprising at all, especially when you know lots of these names are foreign to me.
Yeah,
I've seen Rock in the Suburbs around. I've also seen MFP around quite a bit.
See 5s all in and call by the Ace King. 9-6-4 flop. Tray on the turn. 10 on the river, and Rock in the Suburbs is going to survive and double up to 850,000 chips. So, back to your discussion. We might see the big dog all in here first, actually. Potentially. It's very close.
Interesting spot, actually. Yeah, that is a close spot from 13 blinds under the gun.
That's a real tank, though. I would fold after that tank. If I wasn't sure about folding, like after that tank, I'm folding.
Once you tank for that long, you really told the table what you've got. You've told them you've got 6s to 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s.
People do fake tank the aces as well, though, so you got to be careful reading too much into it. I think they do. I think like the big dog's around. The big dog always has a few choice words for me on the tables. He might fake tank him. So anyway, golf, pickleball. What else is? The outdoor activities, a few hikes.
Spike ball, not pickleball, spike ball.
Sorry, excuse me. What's spike ball? Teach the old man a new trick. What is it?
I honestly don't even know what pickleball is, by the way. But spike ball is like basically volleyball with a mini trampoline. So it's like 2v2. You hit the ball down. You know, you have three hits on your side to get the ball back on the mini trampoline, and then back and forth. Whoa! Oh, he's just calling. Sorry.
Ivy is all in versus the big dog. Oh, big flop for the big dog. A lot of outs.
Oh,
that's not one of them, though. That is a disgusting hold.
But that was the right amount of outs. Big dog should have got there. You know, it wasn't too many. It wasn't too. What, a flush draw and two cards to hit? Yeah, it's once you flick in the straight draw outs, that's when it gets to be too many outs.
I thought though, when you had the 2 live cards as well as a flush draw, that's quite a lot, P Diddy.
No, that's quite a perfect amount. Perfect amount.
Do we see the big dog pull the trigger? We do not, but we see the call. Flat call.
Wow, interesting.
It's suited. And
whoa,
getting an amazing flop. I would probably be pretty comfortable with my king queen here. We don't really have a choice. There's just over pot left to play. They shouldn't have a huge amount of aces, so you're kind of laughing here.
I'd be very. You said you'd be pretty comfortable with your king queen. I'd be very confused as to what's going on with the king queen. I mean, the small blind who is an established regular has just peeled off of just under 10 big blinds in the small blind. I mean, not that I think it's a bad play. It's just that it's confusing and different, right? You don't see it too often. Now we see the mini check raise, so probably going to see a call from MFP.
Yeah, I'd be quite scared now.
He does go in. Okay. Oh, he's got an ace or a queen for outs. Interesting moves there from the big dog. Very interesting. Haven't seen that one.
I can understand the merit to a degree. of flatting.
For sure.
It's not something I do, but I can understand the logic behind it.
Yeah, for sure, right? Especially if you think you're playing against someone who's raising quite wide on the button. King 8 suited is one of those hands where it's just slightly too weak to get it all in, but taking off a flop and then just getting it in on tons of boards that are anything resembling anything good for you. You just getting it in seems pretty good. Oh wow, we're gonna see some action here.
Alfred Kevin versus Teddy Punk. Alfred Kevin with the top pair, top kicker, and Teddy Punk with the bottom set. This is big trouble. I don't see a world in which we do not see Alfred Kevin bust here. Teddy Punk is going to raise the flop quite frequently, and Alfred Kevin with top pair, top kicker is going to be pretty happy with life. Their options are obviously to call or to play for stacks now. I think I would probably play for
probably
stacks.
Just see him putting it in. He's probably just going to put it in and just absolutely can't fault
2%. GG to Alfred Kevin.
Not going to be this time.
Big pop for Teddy Punk, though, up to 5.4 million chips, almost 100 big blinds.
Huge. Could potentially be the new chip leader if money has gone down and no one else has taken the place. That could be the new chip lead stack for sure.
I would shove this rocking the suburbs ace king. I'm not sure. I would raise ace king suited, but I would shove ace king off. So again, a lot of these close spots where I doubt either.
Very loose defend from the 8-4. Yeah, I think I'd probably go for the raise with the ace king. But I could be wrong, and I totally see the merits for just going for the jam. I mean, this example right here is kind of what exactly why you might want to trend towards making the all-in wager. Man, we see a 120k bet, which is going to be mildly annoying for rocking suburbs, but not that annoying with the nut flush draw. And a straight on the end for Shimon.
I guess one big blind bet. Maybe at this point they feel they want to go for a bit more.
Whoa!
It's so tough for your opponent to call, though. But I guess that's a good and with the value.
That was a very aggressive play from Shimon. First, the defend with the 8-4. I'd say it's a pretty aggressive out there bet on the turn with the 8-4 as well. And then definitely, like you were talking about, going for maybe a one big blind bet or a small bet on the river, and he just went for the gold. Will we see Rock in the suburbs do the same thing, Fintan, with as we just saw Ivy with the ace jack, or will they just get it in?
They get it in, and they get in very good against the king 10. Very safe flop, no backdoor flush draw. 10 is the only card, and it's not going to come. Rocking the suburb gets the double up to just over 20 big blinds, 1.2 million. MFE still with the 25 big blinds. It's interesting to watch the different strategies that players are using from the big blind. Obviously, it might be to do with how often they play.
Honestly, it's quite an interesting way to study the game as well. I haven't really done it very much, but just watching replays in the lobby, because there's tons of replays from big tournaments, even just from weekly 1Ks and stuff like that. And you get to see, in some of these tougher field, $1,000 buying tournaments, even $5,000 buying tournaments, you get to see how all the bosses are playing, and it's a very interesting way to look at the game and study, and also even see how weaker players might be playing.
I always promise my chat every WCoop, every scoop, I'm going to watch every replay, I'm going to do commentary, and I've never done one. Never done one. We should
do for this WCoop. We should do some 2-man streams on our own thing.
After WCoop, and we could go over it. Absolutely no problem. But during WCoop, I'm going to be playing.
Yeah, you're firing. Yeah, of course. So we see 3-bet and 4-bet here. Probably going to take it down. Although Shimon does seem quite out there, but this would be out there even for an out there player.
Yeah. That was a very, very quick 4-bet. Not saying there's any issue with it, just it was extremely quick. Didn't have to think about it for a nanosecond.
Teddy Punk knew what he was doing with the 2 aces.
Get all those chips in as quick as possible. G Porium says he folded aces. No. So the aces 4-bet and the king jack folded.
Interesting to see if we see a shove or a call here. Shove and a call, rather. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. We do see the shove. I would imagine that we are going to see a call from the ace-3 suited. It feels kind of close, but I would never fold it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it feels especially close when they only have, seven blinds or less here. I think you just got to go with it. It does stink, of course, to put in the majority of your stack with ace-3 deep in the middle, but yeah, just got to go with it at some point. Shimon looking to mix it up here. He's not going to slow down the deuces. We see quite a peel from rocking the suburbs. It's quite interesting. I wouldn't expect to see a ton of players do this. Off under 20 big blinds, peeling from the hijack with ace-8 suited, especially against a player of Shimon's caliber that doesn't really seem to like slow down. I feel like there's going to be not too many opportunities for us to win the flop without making a good hand post flop, just because of the type of player that Shimon is.
Is it the kind of hand that if you're on the button or in the cutoff, you'd be a little bit more inclined to take a peel, or would you still be a little bit concerned?
Sure. No, for sure. I would on the button. I wouldn't even consider it. I'd always be in there mixing it up and playing it. But over here, it just feels like you're a lot more hard pressed to play like shove or fold, and a lot less inclined to be doing a lot of flatting. Just with 4 players behind you, a lot of bad things can happen, and we will have to fold our ace-8 before the flop, and we've just thrown money away.
And as you can see there, even with a pretty dry flop and a backdoor flush draw, you end up folding, and it's a little bit sad. What are we drinking there?
Just coffee.
That is the biggest cup of coffee I've ever seen. Let me see that cup.
A slightly large mug.
Do you have tiny hands, or what's going on?
I mean, my hands are definitely not large. I definitely do have small hands.
Is that just a regular coffee cup from like IKEA, and then you've just made it look like the biggest cup I've ever seen?
No,
like
it's not a regular. It's slightly larger. It's slightly larger. It's in between a big. I have a mug that's like actually big. It's like 1.5 x the size.
I need to see it, dude. You're gonna have to take a small break. Go get your mug. I'll call the actual Mason.
I need more coffee anyway. I
need to see this massive. This is, by the way, not how we were told to take breaks, but I need to see the big cup, and it's very important. As we see, rocking the suburbs opening with the aces, and luxury weed is in a kind of tough spot. It's somewhat concerning, the stack that rocking the suburbs opening off, but once you re-raise, you're obviously going to be committed. We are going to see aces all in against luxury weed. I mean, maybe they flat call, but like you're always getting calls. So
look at the difference in sizes.
I would persuade you to chips as. Oh my God, Parker! We do see the all in as Parker shows us the mugs. It is aces all in against ace queen. This is the greatest broadcasting that has ever been done on this channel. We see the all in.
Do you see my mugs? Oh, there's a massive pot happening.
It's 9, king 5 with a queen on the river, and rocking the suburbs is going to get the double up. I couldn't give it the attention it deserved, but that was the greatest broadcasting that's ever gone at www.twitch.tv/PokerStars. That was fantastic. He's just in here like, hey guys, look at the big cups.
I didn't have the headphones in. I didn't look at the screen. Hey, well, that was like a big pot.
It's so hot out at the moment. I don't know what the global warming is doing to Canada at the moment, but it's like 26 degrees out there, and I'm sweating. And now you've made me laugh, and I'm just getting a little too sweaty here. But
yeah, all I've heard is about how hot the UK is right now.
Yeah, it's very, very warm. It's lovely though.
Yeah,
I couldn't appreciate them. So you might need to do a second presentation at some point.
All right, so here's the big mug.
Yeah. So this is
like basically the size of my
dude,
head.
Can we have the angle of so I can see into the mug? That's what there we go. Oh,
it's
dirty.
It's dirty. Mug. I was drinking tea in it yesterday.
No, you can't see. It's fine. So that would be like if you're having a real rough day on Twitch chat, you fill that with coffee. Dude, they look just as big.
They are pretty similar, but I can literally fit the white one inside the Donatello mug. So like it's smaller. It's smaller.
2 guys, 2 cups. What a stream.
2 guys, 2 cups. Yeah, can we change the title to 2 guys, 2 cups? All right, let's actually call the action here. Ace-2 suited, opening from the big dog, taking it down.
Leaving PokerStars today by mutual consent is Fintan and Parker Talbot. It does look like you're drinking out of a bowl, though, for real.
Well, I'm drinking out of a bowl then. All right, Fintan, you can have it. It's yours, buddy. It's a bowl. It's not a mug. You got me.
I'm not looking to fight you. I'm just saying what it looks like. That's all.
Well, you've beaten me up. You've already fought me. It's over.
So, like, how big are your cereal bowls? Do we have to get your whole full cupboard right now? All right, 8 suited. Get in the bin.
I'll be drinking below the camera from now on. I won't be showing you my mug as I drink.
Ivy is all in and does not get called unless we see misclicks. Do you remember off the top of your head what was like the most expensive big misclick you've ever done? Like, have you ever had an absolute horror show? I know you've had a few sit-outs from taking breaks at the beginning of Hypers, which are comedy gold when you came sliding into the room across the table.
I had one, not recently, but like I can remember one streaming. It was in a W Coop event too, where we both had like 4 or 5x starting stacks, and like like towards like the middle end of a day one in like a 1K, 2K PKO even, and I like tried to raise. I was typing in a bet, and I raised like 100x when I was trying to bet or something. I made it like 90,000 instead of 9,000, and then somebody jammed all in for like 300,000, and I had eights, and I had to call it off or something. Basically, I got in 100 big blinds, like middling stages in a 2K with eights, and got wrecked by kings. But it was a super sad one, yeah. And it was live on stream too. I'm sure it's on a
clip somewhere.
I'm sure it was on a YouTube video somewhere or something. So what happened here? A raise and a call?
3x pre-flop from MFP, defended by the big dog.
Always a weird spot for me in the turn here in MFP's spot where you do go for the raise before the flop, which seems kind of standard to me, and then you get onto the flop here where I think checking feels quite good too. It's a tough board. There's no diamonds. Don't really know too much what betting accomplishes, and then the king comes down, and then I feel basically the exact same way. Feels like it's a good card that should hit us a little bit more than our opponent, but it also feels like our hand doesn't really benefit from betting, because if our opponent has a pair, they're mostly going to continue, and if they have a worse hand, they're probably just going to fold. So it feels like a weird situation where it's tough to do too much betting, but you also kind of want to bet, but check folding just ends up being the option. And yeah, it seems like a well-played hand by both players there.
So never interested in trying to peel the turn with the ace-jack? A little bit too tricky out of position.
Not to a half pot size, not in a situation where you might just be drawing to 3 aces, or potentially just be stone dead, right? Like
True.
Your opponent could just have like king 5 or something for 2 pair, and you can just literally always be dead. It seems difficult to check call there.
I would imagine.
But I am a tight player, so
yeah.
These days,
MFP with a interesting spot, 20 big blinds in the cutoff, going to get in the mix with the queen 6 suited, and we could see the big dog get involved. We could see Luxury Weed potentially want to pull the trigger here. Teddy Punk's definitely going to want to defend, so a little bit of action and all different suits. How often do you see that?
That's rare. Honestly, we
4 in a row.
We could see a 4-way pot here. If
oh
and
my
we're going to see a 4-way pot, I think. 4 different suits. How exciting!
And it's a somewhat interesting flop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the big dog is actually probably the happiest, I would say, with this flop. They have the gut shot, the 2 overs, and of course the flush draw. And Teddy Punk with the top pair.
Would have loved to see a lead from Teddy Punk here in the big blind, to be honest. I think this is like a really nice spot to lead out, especially with the big stack, because your hand isn't really going to get too much better. Like, this is basically the best it might be for you, Like, even facing a bet, you feel like kind of in an awkward situation. So just flicking out a bet of, 180, 200K yourself here seems pretty cool to me. Like, what now? Are we just taking our naked 7 and going all in, Fintan, or what?
I honestly, I would just call here, but that is not what we are going to see. We are going to see the all in. Once the big dog bets his flop after calling pre, I think he's actually got a pretty strong range, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the big dog obviously has to call. Huge pot. 3.2 million.
Wow.
Too many outs.
Did you see how big of a favorite? Outs. That's too many outs. That's too many outs. 2 overs, a flush draw, and a straight draw. You see, now it's obvious, right? It's apparent now. But, man, that was pretty unfortunate. You see what a favorite he was on the flop? He was literally almost 62% favorite. He was almost.
This is somewhat interesting. We see Luxury Weed shoving. Teddy Punk has a hand that they can definitely call, but with the stack behind, it's very, very awkward. If they make a very tight fold, but obviously.
I think it's a good fold.
Oh, wow. Trips on the flop. The small forest for Luxury Weed. I'm going to get the double up. That last pot with 37 players remaining in the Sunday Million did make Teddy Punk the chip leader by over 2 million chips. So sitting there with the 7.5 million chips in a very, very good position. We are almost down to the final 4 tables. Wait, does this play 8-handed? No, it's 9-handed still, right? You played it last night. You fired 4 bullets. You should remember.
9-handed, sir. Is that nice, by the way? I was showering this morning and I was thinking you're gonna do Sunday Million commentary today, and then I was starting to feel a little bit bad for myself too, because I was like, man, I haven't made day 2 in the Sunday Million.
Dude,
I
don't want to hear it. How many times have you final table the Sunday Million? How many times have you won the Sunday Million? Or have you ever won the Sunday Million? You got very close a few times.
Wait,
what was the closest you got? You got a massive second or something though, right? Like back, it was like a anniversary millie or something. Like it was.
That was the warm up, anniversary warm up. That I got second against
but then maybe it was the last ever 215 Sunday Million was what it was.
That's right. Big. That's what it was. I got second. Yeah, for like 100 or something, 110 or something like that.
Imagine, look at him. That's him reminiscing on the 6-figure score. I mean, mad he didn't win and sad. You can just sell it.
I'm just saying it's been a long time, dude. I haven't made day 2 in the Sunday Million in quite some time, especially when I'm streaming now. I'd love to be able to go live on a Monday today with a nice little day 2 stream, you know? Folks can sweat the live cards over here. It would just be nice, and I'm just saying I've gotten incredibly unlucky to not get there. Rockin' the Suburbs is definitely going to play this hand, by the way. From how aggressive, how loose he's been so far. Wow,
what?
I did not expect that. I don't understand this one. So he peeled the ace-8 suited before, which was a very questionable situation, I'd say, and not great. But this one was like, you know, great little spot.
I'm going to give you a little lesson, all right? Okay. Ace-8 suited can make the nut flush. Okay. 8-9 suited cannot. So there you go. Ooh. That shows you which hand you should play and which hand you should fold. It's that simple, Parker.
Thank you very much.
Very important question. The chat also coming in from Web13 says, you did win a $60 18 man the other day, though, Parker. Don't be greedy.
Yeah, but then I followed up with a 5th place and a 6th place, and there's only 4
here we go. Here we go.
So I got unlucky in the next one. Next 2 even. Looks like we're going to see head 777 take it down here. I can't imagine either of these guys calling the all-in.
Alright, the last of this back and forth, but Raj says straight flushes look sexier though, but they can't make royal flushes. So, you know, think it through.
Any hand can make a royal flush, but a royal flush will come on the board.
Oh, you want to be that pedantic, do you? Okay, I see how it is. I see what I'm dealing with here. Okay.
Ivy thinking about it with the 5-3 suited here. I do always wonder, you know, when like Ivy, like players, like tighter players like Ivy, you know, make the tight call with the ace jack and the tight fold in the flop with the ace jack. But then sometimes they'll just flick it in with the 5-3 suited in the cutoff here, you know. They'll just be feeling it, I guess. But I mean, he didn't, so I'm just completely speculating here.
5-3 suited was, you know, I don't know if you had a lucky hand when you were playing poker at the beginning of your career.
Is that your hand?
Jack 9 off, but that was just a little bit too costly at times. But 5-3 suited couldn't get you that much trouble, but it was so sexy when you pulled it off. So 5-3 suited was my hand.
There used to be this guy at the casino that I used to go to all the time, and he was always banging on about 9-3 offsuit. And he was always yelling.
I've never heard a 9-3 offsuit.
He was always yelling about 9-3 offsuit. Now they'll never see it coming. Really, you know, like the age-old jokes, they'll never see it coming. I swear to God, this guy used to always bang on about the 9-3 offsuit every time I would play on the table with him. And whenever he'd win a pot with it, obviously he'd just lose his shit and just bang it over and, you know, run around the table. Interested to see if head goes for the double barrel here. Would love to see it. I think it's a great candidate to do it with, a great situation. You can even bet nice and small, too. It can be a really cheap bluff, too, of like 175K. You know, just bet a quarter and really put your opponent in a nightmare spot. And they do go for it. You love to see it. I think this is a great bet, and it's going to work.
How do you feel about the call on the flop with King 8? Because that's a bin for me.
I was just about to ask you, did he lead, or what was going on?
It seems like check call for 1/3.
Very, very, very optimistic call. With
Loosey goosey.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, very, very optimistic.
We also did get a sub in the chat. I mean, I think, do we call them out? Is that part of our job? Princesses with the Prime. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Welcome to the PokerStars stream. We are, of course, going to be covering the action all the way down to the winner. Myself and Parker jumping in for Joan James, who are, I'm going to say on holidays. I wasn't told what they're doing, and I don't need to know, so I'm just going to say that they're having a well-deserved break. That's a
Sounds
good
reasonable
flop.
to me. Really good flop, yeah, for Marussia here. Not really sure what we're going to see, a check raise or a check call. I think both are viable. I think I'd like a check call here, to be honest. Just, not really knowing too much about Teddy.
I check
One or two
raiser
of
that. You make a good hand, you put some chips in the pot, you might get a double up. I'm a check raiser. I like to put loads of chips in whenever I get the opportunity.
I just find it hard. I think it's hard for people to defend on monotone boards, on 3 heart boards. Like people just they play really snug, really straightforward.
All right, we are taking our first break of the evening. Myself and Parker are still going to be here chatting absolute nonsense if you want to hang around with us through the break. I think there's about 35 players remaining in this week's Sunday Million. Unfortunately, neither myself or Parker are with them, so we're just going to be here chatting. If anyone has any questions in the chat and they want to get them to us now, it's probably a good little time. So what do you think, Parker? Are you enjoying being part of the experience of a deep run into Sunday Million, considering, you fired your 4 bullets and it hasn't been possible?
I remember what it's like to actually make it there on my own. So I wish I was there. But yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen a lot of tight maneuvers so far. Those ace jack folds are really really surprising to me. Didn't expect to see people just folding ace jack to single raises.
There has been a lot of tight folds, but I think overall, once we got post flop, it's been pretty standard stuff. The action was maybe a little bit slow, but to be expected. We did see Teddy Punk there with the massive 7.22 million in chips. Not our current chip leader, because on an outer table, Pure with 7.99 is now the leader. Money 2, who was our chip leader at the beginning of the day, has 6.1. Varyak has just under 5 million, and B or Z Roll has 4.65 million. Those are players who are in with a very good opportunity to be playing for the $108,000 for first place. And I think the predictions for a 4 to 5 hour stream are looking pretty solid, considering that we are now down to the final 4 tables. This is the time. I'm a little bit of a liar. When I double up early on in the tournament, I already start thinking, what would it be like if I won this tournament? But when you're in a big, massive field, coming back on day 2, you're not really thinking of final table in it yet. But if you've got you're thinking about it, but it's not that realistic. But if you've got a massive stack now, final 4 tables, this is where maybe you will get the opportunity to put pressure on those short stacks, right?
For sure. Yeah, this is definitely one of those scenarios where you definitely get to start opening. I mean, I'm harping on about it, but we literally just saw 2 people fold ace jack offsuit to a single raise, right? Like this is definitely the time to start throwing your weight around. If you have a big stack in this scenario.
Do you find yourself when you're playing poker tournaments? Are you just in general? Do you find yourself going in with big stacks towards the end more often, or are you a conservative ICM player these days? No, because go on.
No. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I'm having a drink. You've got to fill this air.
No, I was just gonna say, if I have a big stack or anywhere near, I definitely play very aggressively, play more hands. But it works the opposite way these days, right? If you are one of the shorter stacks and one of the middling stacks, it's important to know how restricted you actually are, and how tight you have to play in a bunch of spots.
There's a spot. I posted a YouTube video today of my first ever scoop win, but that's from I don't know, 13, 14, 15 months ago. And I made the worst call that I've ever made ICM wise, and I've had some shockers. And it was I hadn't studied any of it really at that point, and now all my YouTube comments are just giving me abuse about it. But I feel the way we always talk about how the game changes, I actually think even that side of the game has changed, and people are getting a lot more knowledgeable, even in the last year. And
oh my god,
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like anything, right? With technology, everything is linear, right? Everything goes straight up like this. It's not once you really learn and everything is, the resources are even out there even more. People just get aggressively better, straight up in a row. So I would expect, the game is going to change even more in the next year, next 2 years, next 3 years even. And we'll see lots of new strategies just become the meta, kind of like we've seen recently. I feel like poker has really become a meta-ish game, where maybe it's always been that way and I'm only ever seeing it for the first time now, but how there is a meta of how people play, and then slowly through time some people discover that there's a better way to play, and then everyone else copies those people.
One thing that probably will never change is that on day 2 of the Sunday Million with 35, 36 players left, people will always be a little bit tight, and there'll always be a few lads who just get a little bit too excited for it and go for it a little bit too much. Hopefully,
For sure.
I hope we can find one of those characters that is
We
just
had
going nuts
one.
and runs up a stack.
He
Do you
busted.
think? Oh, yeah, they lasted 4 hands.
4 hands. Yeah, well, that's what they needed, a big stack.
No, we want a story that we can follow for like the next couple of hours, and we can get our support. I know we're meant to be impartial, and we're not really meant to pick favorites, but I can't help it when I see someone in there battling who seems like they are a recreational player rather than a full-time player. I can't help but support them, especially if I think you're on their table or if any of the lads on the PokerStars teams. I love seeing the carnage of someone who is causing a ruckus and taking a streamer out, and even when it happens to me, I find it hilarious. Like when they
You're
play
like inducing action against yourself right now. You're like, yeah, I love it when you pick on me. Fucking come and get me.
No. You know, like the guy you just said, like with the 9-3 off. When I see a hand go down against a streamer, and they should just never ever be in the hand. And look, I wish well for you. I wish well for Sprague, Lex, anyone on Team PokerStars when they're playing. But if I can see that one moment where someone's just playing a hand that they are not meant to be involved in, and they take you out, those reactions are my favorite. Is that sadistic of me? Is that bad?
I mean, it is sadistic, especially like when it happens to you yourself as well, you know. But yeah, for sure, I get it.
So what's your streaming plan, given that you say you've been on a grind? Are you just going to keep sticking to what you're at, or what's the
I think
plan?
I'm going to stream Wednesday, Friday, Sunday this week. I think that's my rough plan. Do some tournaments, and then on Friday I'm going to do something a little bit more fun and more relaxed. Like I might even do some games before, and then parlay it and do a little bit of hit up the PokerStars Casino, do a little bit of gambling. Have a couple of beverages on a Friday night.
Oh my God, are you bringing back? Are you bringing back the P Diddy drunk streams? Are you going to try and find your boy? I can't think of his name. Pablo. All right, we are picking up the action of the 8,836 players. We have the one number in the English language that I struggle to pronounce the most left. There's 33 players left, and we straight away are seeing some action. It is Teddy Punk, who is second in chips at this moment in time, having opened with the ace-jack and folding to the re-raise. As we have Rock in the Suburbs raising up with 6-6.
I went invisible for a second, but I am back.
No bother.
All right, I'm ready for the action here. We should see an all-in from Ivy, but we have seen that he's on the tighter side. So wouldn't it be the most surprising thing ever to see him fold?
Yeah, I think this one's probably going to go all in. Although it's again that thing, like when you tank this long, I truly believe that you should fold.
I think it matters less when you have Ivy do a Gress stack, but I do agree when in the big dog situation from before where they had like 13 big blinds. I think it just doesn't really matter when you have 6 blinds. So like obviously we can see that they have folded, which I would say is probably a mistake. You're gonna blind out if you're not taking these kind of spots for 6 big blinds, even though you are in an unfavorable position.
All right, we have an ace-jack player. Head with the king line suited is raising it up, and Mar is going to be calling here with the ace-jack. And we have a king 7 tray board. Head with a couple of options. Obviously, can check or can continuation bet with their top pair.
Expect to see most players check here, unless they are on the more aggressive side, betting a lot more. Could really go either way from Mauricio. Would not fault them for either floating here or just calling. Would be interested if they raise as well. That'd be pretty wild. Wouldn't really expect it myself. I think I'd probably just fold, though. Not sure about you, Fintan. Oh, baby.
Gangster.
Very gangster. Not a
I'll be honest. I don't find this. I'm just going to tell the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it either. They get they pick up equity on the turn. Not a good turn card, but they do find a straight draw.
I think it's somewhat difficult to pull the trigger on this turn when your opponent bet and calls on king 7 tray.
I feel like once you make the flop move, you start to panic when you're like, oh my god, would I really ever actually raise with pocket 7s or pocket 3s here? Or do I just always have a bluff, And then you go into shutdown mode. At least that's what I find myself doing in some of these situations when I do this kind of stuff.
Oh, that
Oh
is the nuts.
my goodness. They have
So
absolutely found it.
head, I guess, has both options. They can block. I don't think their hand is strong enough to go all in. I would probably check myself a decent amount, but I
I
guess
think
maybe you want to get
so.
called by Queen X of clubs. And if I'm,
I guess that would be what you'd be targeting, yeah. But it'd be tough, wouldn't it?
yeah, I agree. I'm all in now. Check to me on this river. Given the action, I'm absolutely all in. I don't think we want to be bluffing small here. I don't think we're going to be opening the action super wide. So I am all in. Or okay, this is weird in between size kind of, but it's a very very tough spot for head now. Like it's actually really really annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to play it like the King Nines played it. I think Heads played this hand just fine and just gotten themselves into just a completely miserable spot. And I just call. I think here with the King Nine, I wouldn't be able to fold when our opponent takes this line. They raise the flop in position. They check back the turn. I mean, it just reeks of a bluff or clubs, right? Like, how could this be a good hand? Like, surely you wanna put in a small bet on the turn, continue your story, continue your aggressive line if you have a made hand already. It just seems like this is a bluff or ace jack exactly, and they do end up paying. Tough spot for head. I
Everything you
really feel
said,
for them.
I absolutely agree with. But then it's just like who finds the bluff raises on the flops and the bluffs on the river is the only thing. Like I completely agree with everything you
Yeah,
said, but
yeah. Especially if it's not crazy to think that ace jack is like a fathomable bluff like Marussia literally had, right? So like an ace jack does get there. So I don't know. It's a really wild spot where I think I would find myself clicking the call button and just being absolutely beside myself in head spot on the river there. Fintan is taking a short little break to treat himself to some water. My very small bladder will have to also take a break at some point, but until then, I'll just keep on sipping on this coffee. See, Rock of the Suburbs defend the 8-7 here. Should see just a pretty standard bet and check fold, presumably. Marussia goes for the aggressive large size. Marussia, it seems like they have come to play. First with the ace jack in position raised there. The big bet on the 10-4 deuce. I mean, definitely playing more aggressive than the majority of players left in the tournament, I'd say. Teddy Punk getting away with King Queen is pretty surprising, especially with 7 million chip stack. It's not like Luxury Weed has been an insane nit either. They've been playing some pots, getting in the mix. So yeah, definitely surprising to see Teddy Punk not even really consider it. Should see a raise and a take it from the sevens here. Luxury Weed might be tempted. Oh, sorry, he only has 1 million chips. He will be moving it in.
there we go. We got another shot at mug. Good timing.
So I see you drinking out of a Carlsberg cup there. Tell us what the deal with you and alcohol is. Since last time I watched an Instagram story from you, I think you were on a 2-week hangover from like half a bottle of wine or something. Like I don't know what's going on.
I don't drink a lot anymore, but that was I had some. I think it turned out to be like stomach issues that weren't unrelated to alcohol. So, but we're all good.
Okay.
No, this is just out. It's just a glass, just a pint glass, just this water. I don't even know if I should be showing that advertising an alcohol brand on here to get me sacked or something.
Shut up, man.
Man, lots of really wide defends in the big blind from early raises, eh?
Incredibly wide defense, and from the MFP again is like I think he plays quite a bit. Like I think I've met him before. I think he plays quite a bit of online poker tournaments, and that just seems like a pretty big leak that a lot of these players are making. 8-4 offsuit we saw in the big blind before, especially when they're defending off of these small stacks. It's just the deeper you get in the tournament, the tighter that you have to be. I've at least learned recently. Versus facing opens, you just have to play incredibly tight. Just because when you get post flop, it becomes much harder to defend. So previously, where you might have flopped a bottom pair or a small gut shot, you'd be fine to continue. Maybe check raise, do some calling, but once you get deep in tournaments, you really have to start playing tight, and a lot of those hands end up getting folded. So it's just better to fold before the flop before you even put any more money in.
Absolutely, mate. It's actually the last coaching session I had with BBZ before I jetted off. One of the leaks that I had is that I'm actually defending a little bit too wide versus EP when the stacks get deeper. It's not an issue the way I'm playing it shorter, and it's a big leak. Like it's a really big leak. It's expensive when you're getting it wrong.
Yeah, for sure, because you don't really think about it, but you make big time compounding mistakes, right? Like if you defend and you play a hand that is like super weak, like an 8-4 offsuit, in a situation where you're even supposed to be folding 8-7 offsuit, you can imagine the amount of money that you're going to be leaking across a bunch of different boards just from playing. You're just going to absolutely get destroyed. And it makes life easier, doesn't it? To just fold more hands.
Just get it gone. There's no shame. The eating the stomach issues, to go back to it, because someone in the chat said it did come from when I attempted to eat 10,000 calories of chocolate. I wasn't going to bring it back up. That legitimately was why it happened. It didn't go very well, and I only got 4,000 calories in, 3,800.
Yeah, you're a fool. You're an absolute fool.
Hey,
you also the way you did it as well.
I tried to consume it as quick as possible.
Not at all smart. Yeah.
Dude, this is definitely not the content people here to watch in one evening, but I will talk about this. I made Hannah go and buy a blender so that we could melt down the chocolate and put them into hot chocolates. And I just remember by the time she got back, I was like, I'm actually in my mum's house right now, and my mum was texting me, being like, Fintan, I'm begging you, please do not do this. I will come on the stream and tell them you're forbidden. And I was like, Mom, I am 30 years old. I cannot have you come on the stream. But I might actually take you up on that if I don't find another way out of this. But my stream eventually found sympathy for me, and I was allowed to leave.
By the way, I was having a small little ramble there while you were off. That Marussia has definitely come to play, and we can see it continued with the cutoff open with the 10-5 suited. So yeah, definitely excited to follow Marussia down the stretch here. Apologies if I'm getting that name wrong. It goes for the check though, which is pretty crazy. Did not expect this. I mean, it's a great board to continuation bet as the pre-flop aggressor, especially against a 20 big blind stack. So a good little lesson or rule to remember is when you raise into a 20 blind big stack, into a 20 blind stack in the big blind, they're going to go all in before the flop with a lot of their ace-x hands. So when the board comes ace high, they're not going to have as many top pairs. We do see a very cheap attempt at a bluff here, Fintan. Do you like this?
Yeah. I don't know, because I would just see about the flop the majority of the time, so it's kind of hard for me to say how I play this hand on the turn. I don't, I guess, hate it now that we've got here, because maybe they want to rep that they're betting some king queens, king jacks, but I would definitely raise the ace-8. We can see it's not going to work here, but you can't allow them to get away with it if they have check back tens, jacks, and putting in this 1/4 bet on the turn and potentially showing down.
With the king queen, like you're saying too, right? Like they're probably going to check that back on the river as well.
Absolutely. I'd expect king queen to bet. Would you not?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't have taken either of those options. I wouldn't have checked the flop, and I wouldn't have made the mini bet on the turn. I feel like the mini bet is very face up for what it is. I feel like it's literally the exact hands that we're talking about, like a king queen, a king jack, a pocket jacks, a pocket tens. Like it's never going to be a good two pair or a strong ace. It's just
maybe aces once in a blue moon. Sometimes you see people play like that.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe a very trapped aces. Might see a jam from the king queen here. After seeing Siger fold the ace-3 suited before, I would assume that they'll fold the ace-7 suited in the big blind to a jam. But we don't see the jam. We see the open. So interested to see what happens here.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect to just see a call, see a flop. Take 3 community cards to the middle. Although they are tanking. It's a good flop, innit?
Expect to see a min bet from MFP here, just judging how they've played so far.
And what's your response going to be with the trip sevens?
In the famous words of Samuel Grafton, I would mix it here. I would continue. I would continue with some calls, and I would continue with some raises. As to how often I would do both those things, I really don't know.
That's the beauty of saying mix it. You just don't. You don't elaborate.
I do. You don't have to answer. I've said I do my mix, and that's it. That's it. That's it. That's all.
I would probably lead this turn on an 8. I'm not sure if it's good, but I probably would.
I'm not super opposed to it. I don't really think it makes necessarily as much sense when
The
the
stack with
stack to
some
pot
short
ratio
pre-flop.
is so short. Yeah, so it's easy to get all the money in, so it's not really necessary to do a ton of leading. And also, I'm not really too sure that we have a hand like 6-5 offsuit or 10-6 offsuit even calling before the flop. Like, I would have just folded both of those hands, so it's not really like the 8 makes us a ton of straights here. Whereas in a normal scenario where we are defending, the 6-5 offsuit, that it will.
Yeah, I guess I got a little excited because you got to be very wary of the range pre-flop that raised from whatever it was, 11, 12 big blinds. They're not going to be super wide.
12 big blinds under the gun, right? He's going to have a pretty tight range of hands.
We see Teddy Punk, one of the largest stacks in the tournament, raise it up with the 2 9s. We are officially down to our final 3 tables, and this looks like a flop where we might see the chips going in. I don't really see how we don't.
Chips are going in. One way or another. God, that's an annoying bet, though, when you've got King 7, isn't it? Aren't you just, livid to see the 40%? Looks like Kings and 7s are dead. It's going to be tough for MFP, and he is eliminated.
Teddy Punk increasing that stack as we drop down to 25 players. Teddy Punk has gone pretty smoothly for so far
Final 3 tables
since we joined the action.
Would you put this Jack 9 offsuit in, Fintan?
I would. I don't know if it's right, but I would.
I think I'd fold just because, you have Jack 9 offsuit against 3 players, right? And, you have no fold equity.
Yeah, Jack 9's a good hand, dude. Did you not hear what I said 10 minutes ago? 5-3 suited and Jack 9 off for my hands. Did you not? I nearly got Jack 9 off tattooed on me.
Wait, what? You didn't say that, did you? I missed that part.
All right, we see the all-in is Jack 9 versus Queen Deuce. A very good flop for the Jack 9. A Queen or a Jack for luxury weed. It does not come. Gets a double up. You do swap to another table. The biggest stack.
New table.
This is a stack. Look at the stacks.
Yeah. This is where they've been hiding all the stacks. Hey, we haven't seen any. We've just been seeing that.
So we have B or Z roll opening up with almost 6 million chips. We have a Money 2, who is the start of day chip leader with 6 million chips. The big blind with a little bit over 5 million, and directly to his left, Stranger has also got 6 million chips. This is stacked. This is like where someone can become one of those obnoxious chip leaders going into the final 2 tables if they run well.
Yeah, 20 million chips or something like that, 200 big blinds, just 5x what anyone else has. That's the greatest.
Dude, any time, no skill involved, anytime I've either won a major tournament or got close to win a major tournament, I had one of those massive heaters with 40 players left. It happened to me every time that I done well. And I was just a chip leader by 2.5x or something. Great times.
It's so great when that's going, yeah. Especially because you just don't have a care in the world, right? Nothing can happen to you, no matter what. Even if you take the
what are you gonna do?
Imaginable, you're still the chip leader. It's insane.
What are you gonna do? You want to play 100 big blind pots? Sure. I don't mind. 50 big blinds is a quarter of my stack. Let's go.
This is kind of an interesting spot, by the way, here for Vezic. I mean, I think it kind of stinks when his 10 doesn't play. So they just have an ace hand.
Oh, dearie me. Do you remember what I said a moment ago? Because we have ace-king for Bob versus aces for money. This could be disgusting. I don't really see what's going to happen here other than re-raise and then shove all in from Bob.
Shove all in, yeah. I mean, he's got ace-king offsuit. It's happening. It's about to happen.
Honestly, it's so disgusting with this stack. When you're deep into Sunday Million falling 3 tables and you've ace king off for 45, you're I guess I gotta just shove.
You literally go all in. You're praying for a fold, of course, right? I mean, the only thing that calls you here. Wow. I mean, we're making jokes about it, but the only thing that calls you here is things that you flip with are the same hand. Need a jack or a 10 for the sweat. There it is. No.
Have to be the offsuit jack, and it doesn't come. And that is Money 2, who was our start of day chip leader, now up to almost 11 million chips, almost 110 big blinds. Absolutely the new chip leader. Wow. I jinxed them, I just put it out there into the universe, and straight away one of those pots went down.
Instantly. I mean, now what we really need to see is the next one. Wow, interesting 3-bet here. Small size as well. Seeing a 3x, usually, people opt to go 3x in position, and then, a little bit bigger out of position, maybe 3.5, 4x, maybe even up to 4.5, 5x sometimes. But we do see Stranger going for the smaller size here.
I think King Jack 7 I should probably just bet. I know it's not the most fun looking flop, but I think it's one of those boards you're meant to just bet.
Yep, I think it's definitely one of those spots, and just because this very simple reason of at this point with these stacks at this point in the tournament, I would say that Vezek will never call Ace King, and so the out of position player, Stranger in this instance, is going to have all of the Ace King, all the Ace King offsuit, all the Ace King suited, and that's literally just going to be enough for them to have an edge where they just want to bet 100% of their hands on this board.
It's a quite unusual bet. Oh my god. Okay, sorry, that's the 1.6 million stack. It's not as crazy, but Ace King suited versus Kings, we see another situation that's just going to go one way. It's going to end up all in pre-flop, and it is another cooler.
Yeah, unless Stranger goes for a trap here, which it wouldn't be the craziest thing to see ever. But do expect this to happen the majority of the time. What do you got? King's Race, King Fintan.
I mean,
I'm feeling the Ace King.
I'm a very boring man, and the Kings are going to hold.
I'm feeling the Ace King.
Backdoor diamonds, 5 is no good. Stranger holds and is up to 8.5 million. We are dropping players at a very rapid rate. We are down to 23 players, almost getting down to the final 2 tables as we see the Ace-9 from SHTV going all in. I don't think
By the way, we just added a player to this table. Do you see? 7.5 million chips.
Oh my god, Pure, who was our chip leader on the break. Oh wow, this is a very wide call with Queen 8, and it looks like they might win. Oh my god, Money 289 has just taken out another player. That's I don't know, that seems wide to me, but that's one of those when I get called by Queen 8 after shoving 6 under the gun, I'd be a little bit salty. I'd be a little bit sad.
I would not be pleased. I would not be pleased. I mean, it's not going to be that crazy because it is 6 big blinds. So there are going to be hands that under the gun is going to shove that Queen 8 is literally ahead of, right? Like, you know, even like 8-9 suited, it's going to dominate some hands.
Yeah, Jack 9 suited,
Jack 9 suited, exactly. Again, I'm not advocating for the call. I'm just saying those calls often look a lot more wild than they actually turn out to be. But I would also be very salty if we called with Queen 8 there and I busted like that.
So we see the re-raise from Money 2, and on Ace, Queen, and Jack with the backdoor row flush draw, they are going to check. B or Z has the open-ended straight draw, but of course one end of the straight draw is a 4-card straight, which is never really going to get paid off. But they might be interested in beginning to bluff.
On these boards, I feel like you can get paid off with the 4-card straight, right?
True, because lots of pairs and sets potentially.
In pops. Yeah,
true.
Especially in 3-bet pops.
True. So
I'm interested to see what happens
yeah.
if we see a barrel here from BRZ. I feel like they're going to check and take their equity because it's one of those situations where the pot is starting to bloat. They have decent equity. You know, they have 8 outs to effectively the nuts, 6 outs to the nuts. But they do go for it, which is pretty exciting to see. And I think it's going to work. You'd be insanely hard-pressed to call in money shoes here. I mean, name a hand that Money's ahead of. They even have the King of Hearts blocking, you know, King 9 of Hearts, King 8 of Hearts. Really, really, really tough spot for them to continue, and BRZ gets it done with the double barrel. Nice little play. Expect to see BRZ riding the wave and opening it up with the Queen 7 here too.
It's also one of those spots where you're actually going to be somewhat hard pressed to find bluffs for yourself. I would say when it gets 3-bet pre-flop and then check to you. So using the open-ended straight draw unblocks the hearts or whatever. Seems like a nice candidate, even though I could see a lot of players also checking it back. Okay, wow. Well, Money is just putting the pressure on.
Yeah, going for the 3-bet with the 9s here. I'm not really a big fan of this at all, to be completely honest with you. I find it very terrifying to be facing a 4-bet with 2 9s here and potentially putting in another, because I'm not going to fold to the 4-bet, so we're going to end up bloating a pot to, you know, 3.5, 4 million chips with a pair of 9s there. Just feels not great.
Yeah, it's one of those hands. Just you can see a flop. We can play a pot in position. We can make sets. We can show down winners.
We can
lots of good things going for lots of good things going. We do see Vezek opening the button with the Jack 10, and Stranger, who has a massive stack, is going to fold the Queen 5. I think that's quite close. I would probably defend, but maybe it's okay. Maybe it's fine to just get it in the bin.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure. I feel pretty indifferent, and I think folding is an option. I think three betting could be quite an appealing option as well. Using some of your big card blockers like Queen X, King X, and Ace X in spots where you don't expect your opponent to defend very much. Like if you just make a big three bet there, I think your opponent is for the most part going to play all in or fold. So yeah, going for a three bet steal could definitely make some sense there.
One of those hands that's towards the bottom of the calls that we might make, so can just flick them into the re-raising range as well. We are going to see luxury weed all in, and I guess we are going to see all folds. Maybe strangers tempted with the pocket trays, but at this point with 22 players, I would definitely be folding versus an 8 big blind shove.
Yeah, I think fours would be a really difficult hand there. I think threes is it feels like a pretty good fold, and then pocket fours would be really tough. And I'm not really too sure. See money coming with the raise under the gun. Most likely going to see a flop, and this one's probably going to go with money continuation betting, and Rebozeo check folding. See a big bet too.
Yeah,
Money's definitely playing different than I might expect him to play down the stretch here.
that's a very, I would say tight fold with King Queen, given the chip stack you have. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's fine. Tight is right. Wait till you get the aces and your opponent gets ace king, and you'll just be sitting there with 8-9 million chips. It's that easy sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely is. I do feel like it's a little bit tight, though. I'd be looking to play this king queen. I'd also be looking to play the king jack on the button there in one way or another. I'd be looking to play both of those hands, whether three bet or
Money has put their foot down on the accelerator. In the last 10-15 minutes in particular, they have been really starting to put the pressure on. Oh, wow.
Oh, baby. Wow, well, you were talking about somebody to sweat, Fintan, and Bezic might be your man. Or
Absolutely.
woman. I mean, that was very quick. That's quite the hand to do it with, and that was unexpected. But I mean, we can see money going for the play that I literally just talked about with the big blind blocker three bet, right? Using the ace rag. But Bezic saying, "No, sir, not today."
I feel that 4-bet might have been a product of a reaction to how money is playing, more so than them being a wild man or woman. Now, I could be wrong, but it felt like a very much table flow 4-bet, because money, they wouldn't have seen the cards yet on the broadcast or anything, and money has just been going absolutely nuts. So maybe wrong.
Hands, though, not that they can see that or know that, but I mean, just three bet the nines, and I'm not sure what the hand was before, but I'm pretty confident that it was also a good hand. Or a pseudo good hand, at least, not like a bluff. So yeah, I mean, I think that was like the first time money had actually stepped out of line, though. But instantly punished by Bezic. My goodness. Likely seeing money open up here and maybe seeing it defend from luxury. I would expect to see a luxury defend, especially the way that we've seen, everyone defending so far in this tournament. And I would defend it myself too. So, damn, a lot of trips.
Will we see money take their foot slightly off the accelerator and go for the sneaky little check after being so aggressive the last few spots? I would.
Yeah, do you like it?
I like it. I would one big blinder check.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna work. Honestly, I think it's a board that you get to check sometimes just like that, but I could be wrong. Maybe at 10 big blinds, you just bet one big blind all the time and let them deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another hand that money's going to be the one getting involved in here. Obviously, a legitimate hand, opening the ace-jack suited in the cutoff. And Stranger has another one of those hands you were talking about, but I think it's a little bit less likely they're going to go after money, given that they are maybe the only player in the tournament that covers them right now. So I actually like the fold Queen 6 this time.
Yeah, I don't think it's really too close either. I think it's a pretty happy folding playing against somebody with more chips than you.
All right, we see Vazek open. Will we see luxury weed put in the final 6 big blinds with the king jack, or will they wait for a better spot? It's always one of those quite frustrating ones versus the cutoff. Very, very close.
Tough. This is tough. Tough for sure. I really don't know what you're supposed to do or what I would even do. I mean, I honestly might call as weird as that is. Kind of similar to Big Dog's King 8 suited that we saw
Yeah, I get
earlier,
it.
where it's one of those cuspy borderline ones, where they're just like you can basically get it in on every single flop, but in the event that the flop comes down, Ace 2-2 or whatever, or multiple people get it all in it. It's just yeah.
Luxury Weed does make the tie fold, or maybe the reasonable fold, I should say. And this is
Whoa!
that's your boy from the casino in Canada, the 9-3 off.
There he is. There he is. The 9-3 off, man. He knows. He knows. He's probably listening to the stream. Maybe he's doing it for us. That'd be amazing. If
Maybe.
But really sad to see the man get punished. Unless
if they're really doing it for us, this is your time to step up.
Imagine if it goes 2.2 and folds now or something. My God, that would be the greatest thing. Remember the Otvan man? Otvan!
Yeah, and he had the 7 deuce.
He had the 7 deuce. On the final table of an EPT. That might be one of the greatest hands of televised poker of all time.
No. That is the greatest hand because it.
You think that is the greatest hand?
It's the greatest hand because so much could just go wrong for him. Like the guy made a massive fold. He folded like
a ludicrous fold, like the nut flush draw. Even if your opponent has like the nuts, like you still have like the world kind of thing, right? Yeah, that was the most legendary hand. You're right.
He was walking around, that was EPT Monte Carlo if I remember correctly, and he was walking around Monte Carlo with his chest out the entire time just looking for high fives, and I stopped to get a photo with him and he was loving it. He had his moment. He went there with a plan that he was like, I'm going to do something crazy, and he just had the 7 deuce and slammed it down on the table. And Patrick Tintoni is one of the most stoic men in poker. You don't see much of a reaction from anything, and he's just laughing and high-fiving him. It had all these shemmy in there. It was just perfect. If you were going to write a perfect hand of poker, it was that. All right, we have trouble. Luxury Weed.
Here we go.
Is going to be all in for the 6 big blinds, and of course, Pure is not going to be folding. The question is whether they want to put a re-raise in or a flat call. I would probably raise slightly.
I think I'd go for the call.
Yeah, when it's 6 big blinds, I wasn't sure. It was right on the line.
Yeah, I don't really know either. I think if you were going to raise, you should go for just like the min click. I don't really think there's any reason to put in more money. But I might have got punished if I just called because money had the pocket 6s there. They might have come along for the 5.5 big blind. So I think maybe you are right, and that you should just put a little mini raise in and just take the isolation. So yeah, I think maybe that is legit.
We do lose the Ace Jack, and Pure is up to almost 8 million chips now. Luxury Weed is no more. Yeah, I'm not sure, dude, but it was just because if it was like 3 big blinds, I would always raise, and if it was like 10 big blinds, I would always call. So like it kind of fell somewhere in the middle where I don't know if with Ace King off, I want to call and allow other people to get involved. But if everyone at the table had like 20 bigs, I'd feel way more comfortable calling there. But I don't know. Maybe you're meant to call your whole range.
No, I think what you said makes sense. I think you should go for a little click, get yourself the isolation, especially with a hand like Ace King offsuit. Maybe with like queens or jacks or something, you might want to just like click the call button and allow those 6s to come in. But with Ace King offsuit, you probably benefit a decent amount more. Let's see if Pure is going to call the Jack 5 suited here. Would expect to defend from most players.
We are almost down to our final 2 tables. We currently have 19 players remaining, which means that we will be on the verge of another pay jump as B or Z is going to continue. Pure is obviously not going to fold. I think it's quite difficult for them to want to do anything other than call, but they are going to raise. This is quite spicy.
This is very spicy, yeah.
The problem I see with raising,
yeah, go ahead,
is first of all is you basically turn your hand into a bluff instantly, and secondly, you're potentially going to play a massive pot out of position, which you're not going to be happy with a single turn card. Maybe a 5, but in reality, you're going to be looking at a huge pot against one of the few players left in this tournament who can basically take you out. So I would always call there, but
yeah, I can't really think of a single benefit that you get from raising to such a large size too. Like if Pure had min raised there, made a really tiny raise, I could see maybe potentially some arguments for it. But when they raise so large, when they raise like 5x or so large, I just feel like things are going to go kind of poorly for you. Could continue with a raise here, could continue with a call. probably expect to see a call for most players, and I think calling is quite good. I don't think raising is crazy by any stretch of the imagination, but I do expect them just to take it down here. Unless money gets frisky. You were just saying how money is, starting to get a little bit out of line. Not the craziest hand to 4-bet bluff. All right.
I agree that it's not the craziest hand, but I don't know how you feel, but when I'm going nuts and there's a broadcast, it's quite tough when you're streaming to get away with it for too long. Anyway, Stranger has come to play some cards, by the way. 9-3 off on the button. We thought maybe. We had a little anecdote earlier on where 9-3 off was part of it, and we're like, you know what, maybe they're doing it for us, but no. 8-6 off in the hijack. That is probably the widest raise I've ever seen in the final 3 tables of the Sunday Million. And we have seen money who's definitely going to 4-bet this hand, by the way. There's just no chance anything else is happening. The question is whether it's for all the chips or just like a 2 million.
Dude, I think he's folding. He's done it. Oh my god, you knew. Man, what happened to this table?
This is a spicy table here deep in the Sunday Million.
Stranger's like, what's going on? I just wanted to raise it up with my 8-6 offsuit, and now there's a 3-bet and a 4-bet. By the way, BRZ didn't skip a beat. Stranger raised it up, and BRZ was just like, yes, sir, let's do this. 834K. I don't really like a BRZ size too. I don't really think it's a big deal, but using a slightly larger than 3x size, I think to me just smells a little bit weak. Personally, I think they would have most likely gone a smaller. So maybe that's just their standard size. But if it's not and they are typing in bets, then I think it's a little bit on the weaker side. Not to read too much into anything like that.
This is another spot where. Good.
No, just imagine Stranger just shoved. That would have been the most legendary thing to have. That would have been Otvin level.
It would have. It would have got called by money, is my guess. Nah, probably not. As much as they are getting a little bit spicy, the 5-bet all in for that many chips, you probably have to fold.
You have to muck that 8-queen, yeah.
Are we always getting in the mix? This is a hand I would definitely open early stages of a tournament, but with money playing the way they are on my direct left, or not my direct left, but 2 to my left, I guess you're in a small blind. I probably would flick it in, but it feels somewhat close for the stack you have with the chips that are around, with the shoving stack on your left and the crazy player on your left.
Yeah,
it's close.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It could go either way. I probably, really could go either way. I'd mix it, Fintan. I'd mix it. I probably would raise, yeah. I'd probably raise.
So anyway, I did say, I think, at the last break, that I was looking for a cult hero. Someone I can throw my weight behind. Someone I can throw all my professionalism out the window. Them? Yeah, it's Stranger, dude. They had 9-3 off on the button and 8-6 off now.
Come on, Stranger. Pump it up, Stranger.
Dude,
show don't even what you're made of.
Don't even worry about this. This is going to 360.
There it
420.
Is.
That's what we like to see. I would probably fold this at this point with 5-2 suited. I don't know how you're feeling about that for 3.5. I would put it.
Yeah, I know. I'd always fold it. I think I'd fold it just always, even if we aren't deep in a tournament. Just normally, I think it's just a fold.
It's very close to the 5-3 suited though. So I just 5 deuce 5-3. I just have a strong love for them that it's hard to let go.
Can see some action here.
I mean, Stranger does have a hand, so.
Stranger did get dealt in.
Pure with the ace-9 suited versus the ace-deuce suited, and it's a pretty action flop at this stage. So I assume we're going to see a check and a bet, and then the question is Pure going to mix on the side of raising or calling?
Yeah. We'll just see an over half-pot lead from Pure. Okay. Pure came to play in their own way as well. Now I'm interested to see what Vezik does. Oh my goodness.
Okay, we're playing some street poker. I would say that with money, Vezik, not so much Vezik, but Stranger and Pure, if they're leading this flop, we could be in for that 20 million stack that we kind of joked about 30 minutes ago.
This could be some. I mean, BRZ not shying away either. Literally 3-bet the King 10 offsuit, 2 hands. Wow, and we see the donk and then the fold with the ace-9. Vezik getting the bluff through with the ace-2. No, he obviously wasn't bluffing, but that was a pretty wild hand right there. I'm really looking forward to what's going to be going on. Honestly, I don't even hate the. I wouldn't fold the ace-9, but like I see where they're like almost coming from. You know, like I wouldn't expect ace-deuce to ever be raising in Bezik's situation. Although, again, I can see the merits of Bezic raising as well, because I don't expect anyone to ever donk out on ace-8-5 with a good hand, you know? So either I think my ace-deuce is going to be good, then I would probably just call, though. I would have tried to keep them in, to be honest, not get them off ace-9. That was pretty wild. Stranger, Fintan.
Oh!
Stranger, Fintan.
Oh!
Here goes
My boy!
Stranger.
Or my girl! My player!
My player!
Pure, I assume, is going to
What's
fight
Pure
back?
gonna do? I think Pure's gonna fold, dude. We literally just
Nah,
saw
dude.
Pure donk
Not with the way.
ace-9 and then fold the flop. I think
No,
Pure's mucking.
No. All the chips are going in here, and Stranger's not even going to be deterred for a second. They're like, I'm 4-betting the next hand, staring the white in the eyes. Stranger might call.
Goodness, they do
Stranger might
Stop.
call.
Stop.
Stranger might flick it in.
No. Stranger is on the aggressive side, but Stranger's not crazy, okay? Stranger has their limits.
Stranger is my boy or my girl. Like I said, my player.
Snap raise from money with the king 3 suit under the gun. We are playing some poker.
This is the exact kind of coverage I was hoping for. I was just like, let's not have Lane or see Darwin popping up and ruining my evening just playing solid poker. Let's have a bit of fun.
One person crushing everyone. Oh my goodness, money.
Snap raise because they knew what was going down. Of course, that is not the case. Security and integrity of the game of the utmost important to PokerStars. But great flop for money.
Unfortunate probably here that he's not going to get any action.
I don't know. I think one big blind. It's a little bit annoying with 2 overs in a straight draw.
So short though, Rabozio. You know, even though you have the straight draw and you do want to, I mean, I want to play here. I want to do a min raise, or you know, I want to get in the mix with the Jack-6, but you know, it just feels like.
Oh no, this feels like trouble for my boy or my girl.
Strangers
my player.
about to do some chips. My boy, my girl, my player. Pure.
I can understand the temptation to want to trap when the player is going as nuts, but given everything you've seen in the last little while, that is the biggest 3-bet we've seen of the night. It's like, I'm getting them all in right now. I'm actually surprised they didn't just go all in.
We're seeing a flop.
We are seeing a flop. Oh no, it's not for my player. Not for my player. This is trouble for Stranger, as the 4x re-raise was not enough to get them away from Queen Jack pre-flop.
You're just going to lob it. You're just going to go all in. My play is going to go all in here. I can feel it. It's an all-in coming.
I don't want to say goodbye to
Stranger. I'm really rooting for my play. I don't want to lose Stranger or Pure yet. Oh my goodness, it's happening.
I would just call. I would just call. Just look, it's unlikely they're bluffing, but when the action's been going like it has, let's just call. Okay.
No.
Well, wow.
Come on, Stranger. Stick around, Stranger. What do you mean find a fold? Is that really going to happen?
Dude, they didn't snap. Oh my god, Stranger's the sickest. You got to get on Stranger's level. They're going to find a fold.
Oh my god, no, they're not going to find a fold.
Dude, they are going to find a fold. Dude, they are actually going to find a fold here. My player!
My player! Come on, my player, muck it. Stay alive.
Oh my god, they're actually going to fold! Oh my god! The rest of the hand might have been questionable. That is the greatest fold I've ever seen.
Great little fold from Stranger there. Stranger stays alive to fight another day. Gonna take down this pot the next hand. Good decision. Come on, Stranger.
Live to fight another day. Don't be putting it all in with top pair. This is some quality poker right here, and I'm here for it. Whew.
That was wild, dude. That was a wild couple minutes there. We need these guys to slow down and let us breathe.
As Patrick said, that was the old find out where you're at raise. And let me tell you, Stranger, you might have invested several million chips and half their stack, but they found out where they were and made the right fold. So who are we to question the play? Bowie in the chat said, "Put that in your solver and smoke it." Facts.
All right, come on, Stranger. You gotta get
this. Could be absolute fireworks again. That's not a flop either. These players are going to fold.
Likely seeing a bet and a call to start. I mean,
God, we're seeing a bet. You think Stranger's going to flack all a pair and then open in his straight draw?
I think even Stranger, you know, might slow down once they hit this stack. You know, only 20 blinds left. Yeah, I think Stranger could definitely have two gears and slow down, but they are banging the turn here. Money probably coming along for the ride.
Yeah, we're not going to
Such a
see
good
two
table to watch. Yeah, this.
overcards.
Oh, Stranger makes the straight. Very juicy. How do you approach a Stranger now here? We know Stranger's going to do their own thing, 100%. But you going for
Well,
the
they made
check
it.
like Stranger does, or do you go
No,
for a
I don't.
small
I
bet?
don't. I think I would small bet. As much as we can see that our opponent has king queen, I don't think they check too many eights on the flop. And when they check back, I don't know, man. I would small bet because I want to still value bet, maybe like a good seven or definitely two pairs. So I would probably small bet here. I'm not sure if it's right, but I would.
I think it's interesting. I think, in the words of Samuel Grafton, you can probably do both options. I think checking a straight there to get money to literally bluff like the hand like he had, because I think money is going to have a lot of those just overcard.
I
kind of
agree,
hands,
but do you think
with
they
a
should
spade
bluff
when they
them?
check back. I mean, they're going to have to bluff them sometimes, I would say, right? Or
Sometimes,
else they're
yeah.
not. If they want to value bet, value bet a flush that they check back on the flop, or a straight that they have somehow snuck in there with, they're just absolutely going to have to go for the bluff sometimes.
That's fair.
Action Jackson. This is going to work, I think. I don't really see how BRZ can continue here.
Yeah, it's one of those spots. Even if you feel like you're potentially getting run over slightly, ace nine off is just not the hand you can really do much
It's
about
not
it
the
with.
hand, no.
Unless you want to sneak a
Especially
4-bet in, but
Especially
lot.
because the 9 is quite poor when you think about it, and like we can
Yeah.
literally see that the 9 is poor because money's like 3-bet bluffing range is probably going to involve some like king 9 suited, queen 9 suited, jack 9 suited, like money literally had, right? They literally had king 9 suited, so like blocking those bluffs is kind of stinky as well if you're going to go for a 4-bet or try to mix it up aggressively. So we are down to final two tables, I guess.
Officially, 18 players left in the Sunday Million, correct.
With Sigger and Rock in the Suburbs joining us, both with more chips than the last time we left them.
If Stranger really wants to be our odd fan, this could be the moment. The 7 deuce. In the cutoff.
He's not going to do it. My player is not going to
I don't know. My player.
Stop. They're thinking about it. Come on.
Honestly, some people put fame, magic moments, history ahead of the cash. Pay jumps are probably getting reasonably serious. It's usually with 17 players we would be looking at a little bit of a ladder. As we can see, the payouts are about to start getting very serious. $108,000 for first, 78 for second, 57 for third, and then all the way down to 8K for ninth. 6-figure score on a Monday evening. Not a bad way to spend a Monday. Could see a lot of action. A lot of action.
Sweating big poker final tables has come, eh? Remember when we used to make like a big poker final table, just like any like series poker final table like back in the day, and used to have a host come and they would handle deals as well if there was ever a chop. And these days we've just literally got like a stream to manage like the last like 70 players.
Cards upstream. Dude, when I first joined PokerStars, which is literally like nearly 4 years to the day, it's not far off, they were still doing cards down. Wow, 9's fold here.
What? And Marussia, like, what?
After everything we've seen, that is just such the opposite that I don't know if I'm able to process it yet.
Raised ace-jack on the flop before with it, and then raised 10-5 suited in the cutoff, and now they just fold 9s to a single raise, and they're, like, completely right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very reasonable fold versus the 22 big blind open. We're going to see an all-in for money, though, and we are going to see a call, the jacks, the jam jars, the greatest hand in the game, the most underrated hand in the game. Will they fold? I mean, like, I would never fold jacks for any amount of chips.
Stop. I'll have to really reevaluate how I play this game if Sigger folds here.
Although, if they're thinking about it,
oh my goodness,
they're going to fold.
Oh my god, they're going to fold.
The jam jars. The greatest hand in the game.
Oh my god, Fintan. What happened in that hand?
The people in the chat saying pay jump.
The 9 folded to the single raise, and the jacks folded to the regen? Whoa.
Dude, last 2 tables, people getting the heebie-jeebies. It's like, oh wow, we're really close to that final table now. I want to have that on my CV, and they're just like, we're folding our way in. Nobody's playing through it.
We're really close to the final table now. I want to have that on my CV. Yes, sir. What can you do? What can you bring to this? What can you bring to this job? Well, you see, in 2021, I did final table the Sunday Million.
But here's the thing, right? If they also put it was the one and only final table commentated on by Fintan and Parker because they were never allowed to do it again after their nonsense. It's kind of a rare. Like if you printed that as an NFT, like that'll have some extra value because it's so rare. It's so out of the blue and random.
Oh man. Oh my lord. Man, some crazy. Stop now, Stranger. Look at what he just said. Do you see what I said? Do you see what I'm saying? Once a player like Stranger
20 big
sometimes gets
blinds.
down to 20 big blinds, you know, they reel it in a little bit. They reel it in. You see a King 10 suited.
Look, I'm actually pretty sure that Stranger thought it was the break and has already gone to make their cup of tea because my player does not fold King 10 suited, and I will not, and I will not be supporting them if we see another moment like that.
Yeah, that's a bit much. Oh man, I can't believe that Queen Jack fold.
You mean the jacks?
No, the Queen Jack from Stranger before the value, the info raise and then fold against the aces.
Oh,
I didn't expect that to ever happen either.
Listen, he or she made the right fold. You can argue all you want. They did not have the best hand when all the chips went in. Do you know who else would have made that fold? Phil Helmy would have made that fold, and he probably would have found out with that raise as well exactly where he was at and then made that fold.
You're not wrong.
18 left in the WSOP. I could see Phil playing the hand the exact same.
Honestly, yeah.
There's been some absolute there's been some absolute highlights, but Bowie says the Ace-9 versus the Ace-2 was also great. There's been some classic.
Dude, I literally have forgotten about the Ace-9 versus Ace-2 just because that was.
We barely caught our breath for like 15 minutes there.
Woo! Money is, by the way, implementing what we talked about on the last break about, using your big stack to push folks around here. We can see them opening up with 8-5 offsuit on the button, which is, in most situations, a completely non-standard open. But yeah, getting the job done. And even getting a call from the 10-3 suited, which might be a questionable call. You are playing against the button, but you are playing against the big stack, and you do only have 20 big blinds, final 2 tables deep in the Sunday Million. So I wouldn't have faulted him if he went for a fold there either.
That is one of the major changes I think that's creeped in the last year when people talk about like how the game is changing. Like before it was like no matter what's going on, you defend all the suited hands.
But now it's like hands in the big blind. Yeah.
And now some of that's slipping out, and I'm not ready for it. I struggle with it. Can someone explain the virtual all-in and why people do it? Sometimes it's if there's a money jump and they are not the shortest stack. I guess if it's not hand round, it doesn't matter, and they'll be sweating the other table to see if they can get it. Sometimes people just do it out of habit. I think how a lot of people formed that habit when I was starting to play poker was that we all played a lot of tables. Like back in the day, people played loads of tables. So you'd have like 15 to 20 tables in the middle of your session, and you would not put all your chips in, so then you could sweat your all in if someone actually called you. That's how I formed a habit back in the day, and I still kind of do it. Dude, when you played Sit and Goes, that's why we did it. You don't remember this, but that's what we did. Because if you just went all in, it would just... did you not play stacked?
No.
I
stack and tiled. I stack and tiled.
Yeah, that's what I did. So if you wanted to see your all in, you needed to do that so that the table would pop back up, and then you could see it. Like that was how it happened.
I just always moved the table off. If I was all in,
dude, if you're playing 20 tables of Sit and Goes and you're doing that every time,
I did.
Dude. But you do that as well, right?
Hotkeys though.
Yeah, hotkeys back in the day.
Manually.
True. You had a little all-in spot, probably in the middle of the screen as well. You probably just had his table stacked and tiled around with this big place in the middle just for the all-ins.
This big, huge all-in.
The all-in zone.
I can't get over Marussia folding pocket nines to a single open and then Sigurd folding the pocket jacks to the rejam. That was a crazy hand. But I mean, it's like you said. I mean, and then Stranger folds the King 10 suit as well. I mean, once you hit final 2 tables, it's a completely different game, right? I feel mentally as well.
But we just had another fold for just to add to this. But like King Queen with this stack, your chip leader.
Like what's going on? Yeah, I don't know.
And then the 2's open.
I don't know. And the 2's are the one, and the 2's open instead. The 2's raised. I would have folded this one without even thinking about it. A couple of ducks in early position with a middling stack. I'm terrified of playing this hand. My goodness.
And we see as well, one of the deuces is already dead, which just makes it even worse of an open.
Deuces are going to work, though. It's going to get the open through here. And then again, it is stranger in the big blind with their favorite hand, 9-3 offsuit. So.
Dude, how amazing would it be if that was actually 9-3 off guy?
I mean, that would be the funniest thing of all time. I think like that would.
We'll find out too, because they might be about to be all in. All right, no.
BRZ going for it again. I mean, this one makes a lot more sense as an open to me than the deuces, but
I agree.
I feel like somehow the deuces, makes more sense to a lot of other folks. People. Like it just.
So explain for the people at home why would that be? Because obviously it's easy to just say it, but just so people understand.
Right. So King 7 suited has a king in it, which is like it's a good blocker. Even though you're under the gun and you have to play against all 8 opponents here, you at least block everyone's continues with the king. Whereas when you have pocket twos, you don't block any continues and you just have a baby pair, right? Because like there's no hand that your opponents want to play other than also exactly deuces, and they might even just happily fold those. Whereas King 7 blocks Ace King, Pocket Kings, King Queen, blocks all sorts of hands. So yeah, you usually just want to use a suited hand like King 7 to raise, make your early position opens. If you're going to go for an early position steal, I think you'd be totally fine to just fold both of them and not have to go for it. But if you would insist on opening either the deuces or the King 7 here, you definitely use the King 7 before the deuces.
We do see a quite interesting flop. Maybe a little bit of an action killer on the turn, although money does pick up a flush draw, and they might be somewhat tempted given their... Okay, so this is interesting for Pure to come out with this size on this turn. But money, I guess, will call now, and we'll see the fold from the King 8.
Yeah, pretty interesting here. Money raises the 6-4. And then it went check through on the flop, I assume, right? Of course.
We gotta bluff this, right? Like, we just have to.
Most likely, I feel like a lot of players will shy away because
they rivered the 6.
Right? But I don't really think that it matters too much. I think you still have to bluff it, kind of like you said, because I don't really think the 6 allows you to beat many hands now.
We are down to the final 2 tables in the Sunday Million. 18 players left, $108,000 for first. There are some players that I've been really enjoying watching. It has been the exact kind of day 2 that we were hoping for. We are going to be playing down to a winner. I would imagine in the next hour we are going to be making the final table. Parker, have you been enjoying today's coverage of the Sunday Million?
Yes, I absolutely have. Honestly, it's been a while since I actually sweated the Sunday Million deep when I wasn't involved, so it's been a while. But yeah, wild action. I didn't expect to see quite as much wild. Generally, when I think of deep in the Sunday Million, I think of tight plays. People tightening up, kind of like we literally just saw moving the final 2 tables. But that action on that final 3 tables between those 5 guys, well, that was incredible. That was insane. I still can't fathom some of those moves. That was nuts. The Queen Jack, the Ace 9 Ace 2. Yeah. Also, we're not trying to criticize people's play here.
No, not at all.
When burst out with laughter sometimes, whatnot, it's just so unexpected and so wild that it's not. Again, it's definitely not criticizing. It's just talking about.
And also, we say a lot of time we don't know 100% if it's wrong. It's just not something that we would have done. And it's when you see someone going for it the way they do, it's like a laughter of excitement because they're just putting their opponents in tough spots. And I would much prefer watch this than everyone just folding and trying to make it to the final table. It is way more fun.
100%.
And we are not trying to criticize them at all. There's some hands when you see something, you're going to be quite sure that this is not what the top players will do. But a lot of the time when I ask Parker, I'm actually picking his brain. Parker plays the highest stake. So if I can get his insight, which means that everyone at home watching can get the insight of one of the high stakes pros, then I'm going to ask the question and I'm going to enjoy
Relax as well. Don't put yourself down too much. You're also playing very similar games to me.
I just run going to the top of my buying range. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, relax.
I am the 2-time scoop champion. If you want to talk about that, I'll let you. I wasn't going to bring it up, but the one thing that I do need to do, I used to not play the lower stakes scoop or W coops because I do play higher than I normally do and I want to concentrate on it. But Spraggy goes on about that $5 world title.
I know, dude. I know.
He has a legitimate world title. So this year for WCube, like I will skip.
What do you mean a legitimate world title? Obviously, it is a legitimate world title.
Of course, it's because I don't want to take away from anyone else that has a lower buy-in because they're of course legitimate. But so you've really put me in one here now. Because I want to criticize Sprague, but I don't want to take away anyone else's moment.
But you're criticizing Sprague while also being like, but I'm going to start playing all of them because he got the title. But you can't criticize it if you're about to start doing it.
I know. I'm accepting I was wrong. I want the world title no matter what the buy-in is. That's what I'm saying. I'm accepting that I was in the wrong.
Okay.
I'm owning up to a mistake, okay? But I'm going to be playing every single day during WCube, and I am going to be playing the lower stakes tournaments. If I might, honestly, some days I might only play WCube tournaments. Like that's how much I want to get a title and get a trophy and have it.
I mean, on certain days, that's legitimately fair, right? I mean, most of the big stuff is tournament. You could easily get 8 tables with all WCubes at some points. With all
absolutely
the highs, mediums, and lows for sure.
Are you going to be firing a lot of WCube? I assume so.
For sure, yeah, definitely.
Are you still?
Playing... Go ahead.
No, go on.
No, what were you going to say?
Okay, I've lost my train of thought now. Someone in the chat says, serious question, what's the update on the trophy room? The place that I'm moving into is not ready yet, so I'm currently in my mum's, and because it is only short term, I don't think I'm going to build a trophy room, so this is going to be my streaming background for the next couple of weeks. I don't know how impressed you are with the white wall, but Parker rocks it with the caps, and it's simple, and I like it. So, yeah, this is
my one trophy back there.
Yeah, I still need to get my Scoop trophy. I cannot wait for that day. It's coming to my mum's house as well, I think, at some point. When does WCube start? I believe it is the 22nd of August, and it runs until the 15th of September. And it's $100 million in guarantees this year, which is the biggest ever amount for WCube. So I'm sure there is going to be a lot of streams. I'm sure that Joe and James are going to be back doing the coverage here in the arena. And hopefully you'll see myself and Parker making plenty of day twos. We've never really battled deep in a big tournament, I don't think.
No. Legit never, actually, I don't think. Ooh, a little 2-table setup here. I like this.
We do have a view of every player left in the tournament there very quickly. We're down to the final 18 players, like we said. We are playing for the $108,000. There are still some very large stacks on this table. It hasn't had any player run away with it like it was threatening to do so at one point. But Money with the 12 million chips in a very good position. Pure with the almost 15 million chips. We do have a couple of short stacks, so I would not be surprised if we were to see a flurry of exits in the not-so-distant future. And saying that, you mentioned a few times, sometimes people will not take the close spot when it's final 2 tables of the Sunday Million, looking to get it under CB, which we know, like we said.
Stranger could be in trouble here, dude. Stranger could be in big trouble here. Because this could easily go Stranger... Sorry. Did you see that?
Yeah, I don't, because people are saying that we're criticizing. It's when it's so inconsistent.
No, I just cannot believe it. I just can't believe it. I mean, the woman, my player, was literally raising 8-6 offsuit from the hijack an hour ago, and now they're folding pocket sixes on the button. I mean, I just can't believe it. It's just, it's a full reversal. But it's like we talked about, final 2 tables, shorter stack. This kind of thing can totally happen.
We are about to see a very large spot. I would guess it is Rockin' in the Suburbs versus our start of day chip leader, Money 2 with the Ace Queen suited. It's not the most fun spot in the world, but it's a spot when it's suited. I think we will see the call with Ace Queen, and we do. It is Rockin' the Suburbs who is going to be at risk with 18 players remaining in the Sunday Million. They might just be keeping an eye on the outer table to see if they do get that pay jump, but they are, of course, going to call those final couple of chips here.
You did say it'll be 17 that gets the pay jump too, right?
Oh, that is trouble for Rockin' the Suburbs. No 10, no king. We lose a player. And that is going to give Money 2, who was our start of day chip leader, like I just said, the chip lead yet again, with 17 players left. That is a heartbreaking way to exit the Sunday Million. You do everything right. You get to the final 2 tables. You get Ace King. You get in against Ace Queen. They flop the Queen. You're dead. And the dream is dead for another week. GG's. As we see Vazek opening with the 10s. This could be a spot. We did see Money pull the trigger with the re-raise earlier on with a similar hand. And this time they're just going to call. Tens are going to check back. And I don't think we're bluffing here with our ace deuce. Just trying to show it down even though we have little chance to win. Maybe they bluff, but I don't think so. I'd just check. Cut my losses. We just have other hands that we can bluff. And the hands that are likely to fold most are going to be some ace highs, maybe. And of course, all good, buddy. We're going to see a bet. Usually on the river, we don't see less than half pot here, but the 320 gets the fold.
Ooh, we're going to see some action here as well.
So, let's find out. Does Marussia have...
Oh my god, I missed Marussia's pocket nines in the mix here. What's BRZ going to do? I'm interested to see. I would honestly expect probably just a jam from the ace-queen. And then a call from the queens and a fold from the nines. That's going to be my prediction on this hand.
I'd probably call ace-queen here.
Go a call? Yeah. Wow, this could be very interesting because ace-queen might be tempted to put the money in now when Rebozo moves it in and Marussia jams over the top, which I would assume is going to, be the outcome here. And then BRZ is going to be in a really tough spot with the ace-queen.
Okay, so I assume we see shove, and then we see call. Sorry. I assume we see shove here. Or are we going to just see call here? I would never call here. Yeah, I would shove the nines. You run them every time? Like, I'm not flat calling here. Like,
I would shove the nines every single time here, yeah. I don't really see any way around it. You can't call and yeah, nightmare here for BRZ. I think he's going to fold. What do you think?
I truthfully don't know. It's because sometimes if Marussia has like ace-10 suited, they might be like, all right, well, I'm just going to roll with it.
True. The thing about this situation...
huge pot. 12 million chip pot.
And we see an ace and
ace-queen, queens and nines. Jack, 4-4. Oh my god, the ace-queen takes it all.
Damn.
Oh, that is heartbreaking for the nines. That is a 12 million chip pot. We are down to 15 players. B or Z takes out 2 at once. The queens and the nines out of there. They didn't take that longer, did they not have a time bank? That is
no time
bank. I don't know if it's the right
bank.
It's just such a sick spot to be in, and it's...
BRZ had no time bank there. 6 seconds, I think, only. I think they used like 3 seconds and then called. Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's scary as well, though, with the ace-queen, when, like, Rebozo, who had the pocket queens, like, they are going to be so incredibly tight themselves. Even I know they only have 4 big blinds, but they're facing a raise and a call, and we've literally watched them fold down from, like, 15 big blinds down to 4 bigs, right? Like, we've literally watched them, like, almost blind out, so they're going to be super-duper strong. And then I think because they're super-duper strong, the player with the nines is also going to be super-duper strong. I don't know, it's a tough spot. Pretty wild.
Outcome anyway is that we have 15 players left and we lose 2 players, as we see Love to Write gifting a sub in the chat. Susan, great to see you. Great to be back. T Forbes, welcome. We see Vizek getting a little spicy here. I would suspect that Money is not going to be ready to fold ace-queen yet. Yes, they have no backdoor flush draw, but
he might fold.
It's a quite large raise, I guess.
I mean, I'd be pretty tempted to fold with ace-queen here. I guess it depends. If he was tuned into the stream before and he saw Vizek make the Jack-9 suited 4-bet, he might be more tempted to call, but I mean, I'd be very inclined to fold there with the ace-queen.
I'm a station.
I mean, you would have been right. It's also kind of a tough hand to call with ace-queen, right? Like, maybe you at least, like, maybe it's better to call with, like, ace-10 with, like, a backdoor flush draw or something, right? Just because with ace-queen, it's basically impossible to improve your hand unless you snipe an ace.
This is an interesting spot. If this wasn't so close to the FT, I would probably want to limp. When you can put the extra bit of pressure on, maybe it's just fine to pull the trigger for 14. It's obviously going to be fine. Of course it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I would mostly just be jamming or raising at this point in the small blind there versus the 15 big blind stack when we cover. I think it's definitely on us to apply the pressure now when we're the bigger stack than our opponents, like blind versus blind, especially when there's only 16, 15 people left in the tournament at this point.
It does seem like Stranger has kind of got their hand caught in the cookie jar and has now reverted to being a little bit worried about busting rather than trying to accumulate. And like you said, that can happen. Players have a lot of chips. They feel invincible. They feel like they're just going to put the pressure on and everyone's going to bow out to them. But now they are getting themselves very short. They're down to 13 big blinds, and I won't be surprised if it actually takes quite a strong hand for them to get all in.
I think you literally nailed it as well with like the final two tables and people wanting to put the final table on their CV. Like, I really think that the mentality shifts from final three tables and more people in the tournament once you hit the final two tables. You know, once you hit the final two tables, it really becomes real that like you're about to potentially final table a tournament with $110,000 for first place. You know, like once you get in that final two table situation, it's like a totally different game. Like mentally, I'm not saying that this is like necessarily correct or this makes a lot of sense.
Of course,
but that's how our brains work. Because I mean, I'm saying this because I know that that's how my brain has worked in the past. Stranger, not letting go of the ace-5 here. Let go of the sixes last time, but the ace-5 is getting into the middle and taking it down. Let's see some action here.
Yeah, we're going to see at least one all-in. I think if we see the shove from the ace-king, B or Z in the small blind, it's kind of tempting with king-jack suited, but I think it's just a little bit too much. But obviously, money in the big blind has a very easy call. We are going to see El Clasico. It is ace-king versus queens. The queens hold on the flop. Money 2, still ahead. A deuce on the turn, 5 on the river. And Sigger is going to be out of there, which I believe means that money will extend their chip lead up to 16 million chips. I think that is the largest stack we have seen so far today. They've been chip leader since the beginning of the day, and they're chip leader here with 14 players left marching towards the final table.
15 players, is that what you said we're down to?
14, okay. It's my Irish accent, man. I'm back in Dublin now, and I'm talking to fellow Irish people, so it's just going to get stronger, and my stream is going to understand me less and less.
Say 3 for us.
3. There you go.
Very good. Good.
Dude, I've been paying for elocution lessons for like 6 years, and they got a breakthrough last week.
Have you actually been? Genuinely?
Yeah, they got a piece of sellotape, and I stuck my tongue to the top of my mouth, and they're just pushed through. And like the TH just came out once, and then they were just like, you just got to do it like that. So yeah, that's how it works.
Damn, you're kidding me. You've actually been. This is a troll, right?
Of course, it's a troll. Yeah, I can't do it.
Why did I believe that for even a second? What's wrong with me, dude?
I just said that they put sellotape in my mouth to stick the TH sound out of my mouth. Come on.
What's happening to me, Fintan? Did you see Sam slow roll me the other day, and I didn't even notice that he was slow rolling me until it was too late. And what's happening to me in my old age, man?
We do see B or Z coming in with the raise.
Thank you, Tom. Tom believed it as well. Thank you.
They had sellotape at the top of my mouth, and I've been doing it for 6 years, and that's the first time they decided to try this super new technique. We see the re-raise here with Queen Jack. I guess we're going to see a 4-bet. I actually don't even know if B or Z is meant to 4-bet get this in, if they're like third in chips.
I think I think it's acceptable with kings. Like, you can definitely get into pocket kings for 60 bigs, although that is kind of crazy because 60 blinds.
But also, if they win this pot, they're going to win the tournament, right? That's a thing, right?
Well, not win the tournament, but yeah, they're going to be in a really commanding position to throw their weight around at least, right? Like, if somebody gets to 25 million chips right now, they will be the overwhelming chip leader, and they will get to push their weight around. But I was going to say, I do expect the way that we humans play to basically always 4-bet here with the kings. I do think the size is a bit outrageous. I don't really see it being necessary to go so large. I guess it's a bit scarier if you're scared if you think your opponent's going to flat you a lot, but I don't really think that's going to be the case at this point. So I would use a smaller size and just expect that my opponent won't be calling very much.
We do see the raise from B or Z, but how back to the more important chat that we were having. How did you not realize it was a slow roll? Did you think Sam was too good?
My mother just texted me and she said, "Comedy gold today. Sellotape in the mouth. Fintan deserves a troll crown for that one." I mean, what the hell?
When I first started doing commentary, so here's the thing. I obviously don't watch movies. So a lot of references that Joe and James would make when I'd be in the booth with either of them at the beginning, they would just go over my head. But then I would try and troll Joe with like saying the most outlandish Irish things. And like my favorite one I ever got him with back in the day was that I've never had cabbage and bacon, which is like seen as a traditional Irish dish by people from outside Ireland. I've never had it, and I fully convinced Joe that I'd had it every day of my life for like 14 years, and it's all my mum cooked me. And like, but you know the way I say it, like deadpan, and I just like try and keep it going in the conversation, then move on. And then Joe taught it for ages that all I ate every day was bacon and cabbage, and like that was my favorite one. Well, not quite the sellotape in the mouth. I think that's a bit ridiculous to fall for. But
what? Shut up, man! That's not that ridiculous. You cannot say 3. You cannot say THs your whole life. That's not the craziest thing to assume that 1, you hired a voice coach, and 2, it took something as outrageous as taping your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Okay, so stop and get off me. Okay, that you got.
We see it all in. It's Ace-7 versus Ace-4 of Poo Poo, and Pure is going to. Is going to win. We are down to 30.
Hey, we're getting sacked. We're getting sacked.
Dude, Joan James would never be so unprofessional. How does an A poo poo pop up in the middle of me laughing? Like, it wasn't even on the tape, I don't think. Oh.
Just in case Chessication isn't trolling here, the buy-in of the Sunday Million is $109. You can see it on the screen there. The first prize is $108,000. You can see it on the screen there. There are 13 players left in the tournament, maybe even a little bit less now, 12, 11?
No, there's 10. There's 10.
Oh, sorry, we are paying attention here, guys. There's 10 players left.
Parker, all right, just for those at home and for Parker who, is not aware, but if you actually look in the top left of your screen, you have this information. This is not something that I'm only privy to. This is a shared information with everybody in the tournament. Because when you watch the Sunday Million stream...
I'm just going to show myself out, guys. Thanks. It's been great.
All right, we have a raise from the 8s to the 7-6. You truly didn't know this there, did you?
I didn't know that it said 10 of 8,836. I didn't see that one. I kept on asking.
Oh, wow.
Hands against jacks here.
We have Money 2, who has obviously swapped their position as we reshuffle the tables as we are down to 10. We're on the final table bubble of the Sunday Million. And this... wow.
What is going on here?
This could get really nasty.
Oh, a quick call, though. Quick call.
Oh, dude.
Shaman is not folding, by the way. There's no way that Shaman is folding.
Of course not, but the question is if we see it... Oh, wow. Oh, wow. There's 7.7 million chips in the middle, and both players have an overpair. I think Money's betting. I think we're seeing it all in. Oh,
whoa.
The lead. All right. I'm just going to let this hand play out, and we're going to
commentate. I don't even hate the lead. I think it's interesting with the jacks here. I mean, I would have probably just dumped it in before the flop, but I think it's pretty... Maybe not even, though. Maybe Shaman's just playing this hand like an absolute golden god.
This is such a tough spot with the tens.
Yeah, what do you do with the tens?
It's just a very
jam. What do you even do?
Dude, I would just disconnect my internet and come back and hope to be on the final table.
I think you honestly just gotta fold the tens, like legit, right? Like they snap overcalled, and it surely snap checks the turn. Oh my goodness, this is gonna
whoever wins this pot is going to be the chip leader in this tournament, unless Amsal finds a 4 on the river.
Yeah, this is gonna check down.
Yeah,
now.
check.
Wow, Shaman, and we have the final table.
We are now on the final table of the Sunday Million. $108,000 for first place. Our chip leader is Shaman with the exact same hand, twice in a row. The jam jars, the jacks, the most underrated hand in the game. Every player is now guaranteed $8,367. We're of course going to be covering the coverage until we have a winner. It has been a very enjoyable play so far to the final table, so let's hope it continues. And
I think we can probably settle in here as well, because I don't think this is going to be... Like, that being said, these are quite aggressive players, and everybody is come to play. We haven't seen anything from Tight Aggro yet. This is the first time we're seeing them. But Vezik, Shaman, Stranger, Pure, BRZ, Money, all of those players have made aggressive moves that we've seen so far, and all can potentially continue to be making moves. Now, Teddy was on the tighter side. Ricky and Tight we haven't really seen anything from, but... They are quite deep, is what I was saying. I think we might need to settle in here because I think this final table might take a little while. But then again, with how wild some of these players have been playing, it could absolutely just toot right along.
I think we've got to the final table in quite rapid fashion. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see it slowing down, like you mentioned. But at the same time, I would equally not be surprised if we see someone with 60 million chips in about 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in chat
Yeah,
says, is there a 2 times Sunday million winner? There absolutely is. There's people with more than
multiple
two
probably.
times. But I
Yeah,
think there might even be someone back in the day.
back to
I
back,
know
right?
back to back. I know Big Dog made the final table back to back when it was massive. But I think there was like a back to back winner one time, like week after week, which is just silly carry on.
Interested to see if money defends the ace-8 here. Another one of those situations where, I feel like we do indeed want to defend, but I also feel, quite upset that we have an ace-8 on 6-2-2 and we have to defend. Maybe they want to do some check raising because of that, and they do end up going for the fold, so... And again, this is just to harp on because I think it's like an important point for people could take away potentially. You see how we call ace-8 offsuit in the big blind before the flop against someone with more chips than us, and then we check fold in a spot where normally we'd want to continue a lot. This is kind of the whole premise behind making those tighter folds in the big blind, right, Fintan? Like you can't. It's tough for us to play post flop with these weaker hands on final tables.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the stack that money has and the shorter stacks around, you're just completely handcuffed. You don't want to be calling off big bets and putting lots of chips in against players who can knock you out of tournament. So that's why Parker was talking about folding some suited hands and talking about maybe folding, stronger hands that you're ever going to see folded at any other point of the tournament. And it can be a hard adjustment for some players to make, and it's always interesting to see.
So we do see the Jack-8 open up, probably going to win. Although actually, Ricky probably will defend this King-3, and I think this is a good defend. Now, if you had King-3 offsuit here, wow, okay, we see the jam, which is actually very cool. I didn't really consider it immediately. I just thought about defending because we've been talking so much about calling and defending, but I think the jam makes total sense, especially if you consider money to be on, a very aggressive button raise, which I think he totally is from what we've seen so far. I think we saw him raise 8-5 offsuit earlier, so definitely a nice shove from Ricky there, I'd say. A tough one to beat, too. Yeah. With 12 line.
I think it's one of those hands when you look it up and it actually is the correct answer. You're sometimes like, oh, I don't ever do that. But it is one of the hands that they use.
Yeah, so nice, on final tables, suited kings do seem to be some of the favored hands for 3-bet jamming with those 15 to 20 big blind stacks. BRZ loves the small pairs, coming in with the 3s open again, into the chip leader. Again, I would probably have gone for a fold here, just trying to use those big cards to make my looser raises here, and not using the small pairs quite as much. But the last one worked, and we are just going to see a flop here.
Against the chip leader, I'd be quite surprised to see them not take one off on ace-ace deuce with a pair. Would that be fair?
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to be seeing a turn here. I think the question is honestly whether or not Shaman will raise or call. I think it's definitely in Shaman's arsenal to go for a check raise here.
Neither player really incentivized to put a whole lot more chips in here, though. So,
not really. No, I do think we're probably just going to end up seeing a showdown the majority of the time, unless one of them improves on the end. We could see a value bet from Shaman here. I really don't think it's that crazy either. Just a really small bet, trying to get payment from some highs. That's a bit bigger than I would have gone, but it's going to work. I think BRZ is going to pay.
So, what would Shaman be bluffing with? He's got to bluff with some Jack 10 suited and stuff that didn't check raise.
5-4-3 as well,
True,
right? You get a 4-3 suited, 5-4 suited, 5-3 suited. Wow, it's a fold. Honestly, pretty impressed. I did not expect that. Stranger getting shorter and shorter. You hate to see it.
Yeah, but the important thing is, at the end of the day, they can now put it on their CV that they made the final table of the Sunday Millions, which means that they can now start playing aggressive. And that means my player is going to get a double up, and we are going to still see fireworks. I am fully behind the Stranger comeback. There was a little bit of a moment when they lost me when they folded that King 10 suited.
I'm a pretty big Shaman fan, to be honest. Shaman's been... played that 8-4 offsuit really aggressively. They're in here to mix it up and get in the mix, and I've been enjoying it so far. Might even see it fold just straight through here to the big blind. I don't really. Teddy Punk was one of our earlier chip leaders, but I feel like they basically just coasted to the spot that they're in now. We didn't get to see them play on the other table. Maybe they played all sorts of hands, but they had about 7 million chips. So story kind of checks out if they kind of just folded down to the situation right here. Shimon opening up with the Queen 4-0 on the button. I think this is a good solid open, considering the chip lead that they have. And we see Pure folding the King 4, which I think is also probably a pretty good fold. And likely going to see just a takedown. This is kind of one of those exact scenarios that we've been harping on, or that I've been harping on, just because I think it's like a relatively easy takeaway for everybody to make, that when you get deeper in tournaments that you need to just play quite tight from the big blind. Like there with that 8-5 offsuit, it's just a very, very, very tough way to try to play playing Low's hands that bad. Even 8-7 offsuit, most likely, getting into the bin there. So you get 2.5x, a large raise size here, Fintan, from Bezic. Off of their 20 big blinds.
It's quite interesting off the 20 big blinds. I don't think we're going to see Queen Jack suited ever folded, though. I don't think we should either. It's not something that you see
argue for an all in before the flop if you were to know that Bezic is on the more aggressive side, opening some of these hands. But without that knowledge, obviously, just calling.
Absolutely. Interesting spot for the ace-jack. First very, very close spot on the FT. Which way are we leaning? I would probably have a raise. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, raise, and then fold basically to more aggression. I mean, you're basically raise folding ace-jack if you're going to raise it off of 14 big blinds here. I don't really think that you can call, you can stand much more heat. Like if tight aggro were to jam here, we would be folding the best hand, but I think we'd have to fold indeed once we do opt to raise. Kind of shocked to see tight aggro fold. I don't think it's the craziest fold ever if you consider Ricky to be in a very tight opening spot, but I would still like to see tight aggro come in hot and heavy with a call in the small blind there. Just because ace 10 suited, it's suited ace 10, it's a very, very good hand. There's not too many better hands there. If you're folding ace 10 suited, you're going to be folding basically everything. A little bit of an action board here. We're going to see money continue. I wouldn't really expect to see anything other than a call. It seems really difficult to try to check raise and get it in here.
And what's the plan on the turn? Do we ever find another bet, or are we going to be slowing down?
In Ricky's shoes, I think betting is like completely plausible again. I think money is going to be incredibly hard pressed to continue any hands versus a second barrel here that aren't either like Jack 10, Queen 10 with like, a pair and a straight draw, or like a king. I mean, I don't even think it's like beyond the realm of possibility to face a big bet on the turn and fold a hand like King 3 if you peg your opponent as a tight player. Would love to see the follow through on the end here, but I don't know if we will, and I don't think we'll see a fold either if we do. Deuce is a really tough one to follow through on. Obviously, if the king was good before, it's still going to be good now. Yeah, tough spot for Ricky here.
Yeah, it's quite interesting as well when they use 30% on the turn to then give up. Feels just annoying because you might actually keep them in with a 10.
Yeah, exactly. I do think as well at this point that you should probably give up, because I find it. He does go for it. They do go for it, and we'll see here if it works.
King 3 of spades is not a horrendous bluff catcher, but it works.
I think it's actually quite a good bluff catcher, right? With the 3 of spades, because the 3 of spades works really well in unblocking what we want our opponent to have. When we say that what we want our opponent to have is literally the hand that they have, right? Ace Jack, or a missed diamond draw, maybe like Ace 6 of diamonds. But when you have the 3 of spades, you give them all the opportunity in the world to have those hands. Wild line from Ricky. Good for them getting through.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is like it's very easy for us to sit here and watch the broadcast with that top pair and be like, oh yeah, just call. But when people generally final table, early position, 14 big blinds, they raise it up and they triple it off, you're not having a fun time there.
Well, that's what I was saying, right? Like, if you see a big bet on the turn there, I don't think it's, like, outside the realm of possibility to just straight fold the King 3 on the turn if you think, like, your opponent's not going to be bluffing. But I will say, once we get to the river there and the board runs out the way it is, I think you kind of do just have to call the King 3. Like, I feel like I'm more inclined to fold the turn than I am to fold the river once the action's gone down the way it has. But again, like you say, dude, I totally do not fault money for making that king 3 fold either. Just assuming that, the majority of players that raise off of 14 big blinds under the gun on the final table of the
They
Sunday
just
Million
have
are
them.
not going to manage to find a triple barrel bluff with either ace queen, ace jack, or a random diamond draw, right? Because that's all it is. So yeah, I think pretty good line from Ricky, and a
I think we're
reasonable fold
gonna.
from money.
Oh, 1 million's big. I like. It's obviously very reasonable to bet a million here. I think Shaman might look it up. Opens the a6 from early position. Obviously, again, has the ace in his hand, which unblocks the bluffs and has shown a lot of weakness. Is going to show up on that river situation the vast majority of the time with a weaker hand than a6 there. So you got to decide what you're going to call, what you're going to fold. And I can very much understand the call there with a6. But nice hand for Ricky with the jack 10. I would say reasonable call with the a6 as well.
Ricky's literally doubled up in 2 hands, by the way. Ooh, and we might see some action here. We might just see it all in from 8s and a fold from ace-jack, though. Judging from how people have been playing with the ace-jack kind of cuspy borderline hands. Ooh. I'm
I would
interested to see
shove
what
the
magic
8s,
does.
and I would definitely now shove the ace-jack. Do we ever see a call?
From the 8s, potentially, yeah. I don't really know. I really don't know how Ricky's going to play this one. I think he probably folds, but yeah.
So obviously one of the factors in the decision of Ricky would be a stranger with the just under 8 big blinds here. Yeah, I would just shove, so it's hard for me to know what I would have done when it folds back around to me. But I think if I flat called, I actually would want to fold. I don't know. We do see money 2 coming in with the raise. One of the players who's had a few setbacks recently, of course, was the chip leader for several hours today. And we see
Ooh, here
Shaman.
we go, Shaman. Love it. I think this is a totally reasonable play, especially against money, who hasn't really shied away of opening up. Damn.
Snap.
Money will not be pushed around, Fintan. We got some action on this table, man.
Yeah, we have.
There's a couple players that have come to play. I mean, we see the Shaman Queen Jack offsuit 3-bet, and the without even really considering it, the 4-bet dunk for money.
Do we
see all
see
of money's 7s
stranger get involved here? Will they complete from the big blind? This is one of those situations quite complicated, but with their stack size,
I think we're seeing a 4-way
shortest.
pot. I think we're seeing a 4-way pot. What do you think?
If stranger folds this one after, we're all in.
Oh my goodness!
We pull the trigger. Stranger's back. My player. Let's go. Someone's calling. I don't know who it is, but someone's calling.
It's most likely going to be money, I'd say. I'd say that tight aggro is going to find the folds here with the 6s. When money flats you on the left here, you got to be really wary of what's going on because, I think money has pretty close to the bottom probably of what they call, and it's beating us with our 6s, right? So yeah, I'd say you got to get out of the way with the 6s, and then money probably putting in with the 7s here and going heads up. And no kings or 10s dead, all the 7s dead. Just saying, looking pretty good for our boy here.
We need a king or a 10 for stranger to survive. King or a 10 on the river. Queen of Hearts is not in. Stranger leaves in 9th place for $8,367. People were asking, why was I supporting the tightest player? Let me tell you, if you go back and watch this broadcast again, at one point in time, Stranger was the biggest hero and the most aggressive player I've ever seen. There was 9-3 off raises on the button. There was 8-6 off raises in the hijack. There was gangster 4-bets. It was quite the show. Wasn't meant to be, but of course, like we mentioned before, the illustrious final table of the Sunday Million on the CV, and that's probably what he came for. So GG's the stranger. Money picks up some more chips. It's been a good couple of hands for them. They're back up to 13.6. And
GG. Right back into it. We're seeing some action here. A little under the gun raise with the queens. We see a reasonable flop for both players, of course. Tight aggro with the set. BRZ with the gut shot. Would expect tight aggro to continue here, and BRZ likely to fold unless the sizing is very friendly. And really entices BRZ in. Half pot might be that size. I'm not really too sure, but honestly, BRZ could even consider doing some raising here, getting a little bit out of line and going for it. I don't really think it's too crazy at all. You do have a gut shot to the nuts, and you're going to put anything that's not better than one pair in a really, really tough spot in tight aggro shoes. So I do like this, but it's not going to work this time. And that's a really, really bad river for BRC. I would expect them just to give up now.
Yeah, and I think, oh, absolutely. I think this would be incredibly crazy. I think even if the river had bricked out, it would have been quite crazy to go for it when the call was so quick on the turn. I know that's like a very simplified way to think about it, but when people snap call check raises on turns on FTs, now maybe they have hands like ace-5 of clubs, but we're ahead of that. So like if I'm going to bluff, I just don't think I'm going to use ace-10. Maybe you can check raise a turn and give up, but when people snap call me on the turn, if you ever don't want me to fire the turn, when I check raise the turn, sorry, the river, excuse me, just snap call. It's not easy to do, but if you do, I promise I won't follow through.
All right, they do give up. So good to see that. They're not going to lose any more chips on this hand unless they misclick, like you said before, most likely. But yeah, I sometimes read into it in like the opposite way. And I kind of, start to think not that they're like weak here when they do the snap call, but that they might have like, pocket aces or like ace king and be like weak relatively to what their strongest hands are.
I completely get you.
So like I think if the river isn't a king and the river comes like a 5 or something like that BRZ, if they really want to go nuts, they could go for a bluff to try to get them to fold ace king or aces or something.
But that would be all in on this river.
Tough. You think you'd go all in on this river? Oh, in tight aggro spot.
Yeah. I guess you can have like ace king and king jack potentially, and maybe king 10 that don't want to, but I just in case your opponent has. I think the hand
that BRZ calls down the most with is Jack 10. So I think you probably
absolutely agree.
All in. I think you probably do want to go all in.
Would you feel confident shoving Jack 10 there if you had a check raise the turn with it?
No, absolutely not. Not even in the slightest. I'd be so sick to my stomach. I might put in like a small bet, and then I get jammed on, and then I would smash my desk, and then I'd be livid. I'd be going to the stream. I can't believe this happened to us again. How have they jammed over a river bet again? I can't believe it. I'm the unluckiest player. Like that's literally what I'd be doing, and then I'd click the fold button, and then I'd just be livid.
I would do all that except for I would then click call. I'd be like, they never bluff, but you know what? I'll make sure, just in case. Opposite Fintan,
just in case somebody at home wasn't sure, didn't believe me, I will pay and find out.
Look, I'm just calling so you can. Oh, spicy. I would find a call here 100% of the time with aces. This player's been getting way out of line.
100%.
Let's see a flop. Let's see 3 cards. Yes. There we go.
Damn, not a good flop for action. Not a good flop for action. Money might even just give it up right away.
Yeah, my white flag is out. My white flag is out. Like I've already evacuated this hand. Like I'm mentally checked out.
So just a little mini strategy segment again here. I think this 3-bet for money is actually quite poor as well. Just to go back to what we were talking about with the small pocket pair opens versus like a big card like King 10 or King 7 suited open. The same principles apply here where like money wants to mostly be using blocker cards. Like he wants to use a king, a queen, an ace, some kind of big cards. Now I could be wrong and maybe 5-4 suited sneaks in there some of the time, but for the most part 5-4 suited just doesn't accomplish what you want to accomplish, which is getting your opponent to fold more, because they're always going to fold any hands with a 5 or a 4 in them, whereas they're not going to fold hands with an ace in them because they'll have aces and ace king and whatnot sometimes.
We are seeing honestly a lot of aggression on this final table though. Like this is just another pretty aggressive re-raise. It's a horror spot for the ace queen.
What happened on the flop there with the aces? I was lost.
Check and all in from the aces.
And BRZ went all in, eh? Wow, that's pretty impressive. I didn't expect to see that. That's pretty wild. Yeah, that's kind of scary to just jam there. Like, he might even get, like, I don't even know. You might even get, like, a queen to fold or something. I don't know. That seems really tough, really scary.
The only thing is, if you go all in, Parker, you can't get outplayed.
That is a fact.
Sometimes you got to take that into consideration.
Surely, whoa, a bunch of hands here. Jacks, ace, king, ace, queen. Probably expect the ace, queen to get out of the way and the jacks and ace, king to get heads up, but this could be a big one, Fintan.
So what exactly do you do here with ace, king? This is a very, very delicate situation with the stacks the way they are.
Interesting call. Wow, this could really be an action hand now. I think it's a reasonable call too. Like you were talking about it, my brain just immediately, level one thinker, small P brain kind of player was just like, yeah, I've got ace king, I 3-bet, but you're so right. Calling is a very reasonable play here.
The ace queen is a horror spot because you're going to be aware that B or Z has still got a lot of strong hands. Like they're not meant to flat a lot of hands in this situation. So when they flat, like there is going to be alarm bells going off. Oh man, I don't blame them. It's a tough spot. The jacks are now in a horror spot. The jacks are in a horror spot.
The good news for Ricky here is Ricky's got a chance that BRZ gets out of the way in this hand, right? The jacks are going in. The jacks are always going in here. Shaman for sure with the way that Shaman has played. No doubt in my mind these jacks are going in. But BRZ, dude, could actually get out of the way with the ace king here. Ace king offsuit does not play well multi-ways. Got to get it gone.
Ricky's on unless we see an ace or queen to survive.
Oh, BRZ hits the king.
Oh, that stings. Oh, that stings.
But I do think that's a good fold with the ace-king there. Ace-king just in multi-way just doesn't do too great. But we do see Ricky exiting in 8th place for $11,530. Honestly, you got to feel for Ricky after, coming to the table as the clear bottom stack or tied for the bottom stack. Immediately, getting that sweet bluff in, basically doubling up in 2 hands, and then just getting an unlucky spot with the ace-queen there. Because I would have played it the same way. I think I would have moved it in as well. And just gone with it. It's really tough, but yeah, I think I would have gone for it as well. Unlucky for them.
Do you think the jacks is always a get in, regardless of who you're playing? Because I actually would have hated my life so much with the jacks there. This is a spicy flat call here.
I'm pretty happy to get the jacks in because I think BRZ isn't ever going to have aces or kings, so you only have to worry about BRZ having queens that's ahead of us. Okay. I think A7 is like a totally reasonable squeeze here. I think you could also just muck it. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. I think calling is pretty dicey and scary, and I don't really know how. Like when you call A7 here, you go out of position. It's tough to win the pot, right? Like how do we win the pot, Fintan? We get like an ace-high board and we like check it down or something, or we make 2 pair.
Yeah, I would agree with you here. Obviously, if you are going to flat call A7 on the final table, the only positions you should probably do it against is button and small blind. But I would just not be able to say no to that as a squeeze spot. Mostly, if I look down at A7, I think I just make it 4x and watch them fold in like nanoseconds. It's the chip leader opening the button and then a flat call from pure into small. I just think that you're just going to win the pot so often.
Yeah. But yeah, with those jacks, I don't really feel too worried about it, quite like you might have been. Because one, I know we know potentially BRZ is going to fold the ace king, and I only think that the hand that they have that beats us is pocket queens, and they can definitely flat, king queen suited, king jack suited, some small pairs and stuff. And beyond that, the small blind tanked, which is going back to your speed reads and whatnot before. That's a good sign for us, right?
And I do think that people find a lot of fake tanks on FTs, though. I don't think it's a thing that you see as much. I actually do think... I think when it falls to you and you're first to act and someone tanks, that's not as common. But I think when there's action, people will fight. Because then it's like, they're like, oh, I can make it look like I have a tough decision, but they've aces. And I actually don't think it has much of an influence. As we see the all-in from the jam jars, from Teddy Punk. Would imagine it's fold.
Interesting open for money here, right? Because this basically goes hand in hand in what I've been talking about, just having a blocker, because it doesn't really matter too much what your other card is when you do have the ace. I think his open is kind of a bit wide there, but a much better open than say pocket 5s or pocket 6s, even though pocket 5s, pocket 6s are much better hands than ace 4 offsuit or ace 3 offsuit. But I do think the small blind rejammer in that hand will have, pocket 10s, pocket 9s, maybe even ace queen suited, ace jack suited potentially. So I'm not really too worried about putting those jacks in there. I'm pretty happy to put them in.
We pick up the action. It is B or Z raising it up. And did they check the flop? It looks like it, given it's big blind 250, right? So they must have. And we see it go check on a turn. It is actually a chop pot. We have not seen a single chop pot before today. I always butcher the jingle when I'm with Joe and James, so I'm just not going to attempt it.
I don't think it's going to be a chop pot, though.
You've done it prematurely, which is absolutely worse than us butchering it together.
I said it's not going to be a chop pot, though. I was just doing it because you were like, yeah, I don't know how to say everybody loves the chop pot. I always mess it up.
I know how to do it. I obviously know how to say it. I'm not. There you go.
Everybody loves the chop pot.
I'll be back in a sec.
That's so. My everybody loves the chop pot was so good that Fintan has to take a break. All right, see you in a sec, sir. I still don't get what he was talking about, by the way. That guy's lost it. Ace King suited with the call now. Interesting to see that. Yeah, going kind of hand in hand with his last call, with their last call with the Ace King offsuit. I think it's a totally reasonable play, not wanting to get 32 big blinds in here with Ace King suited when there are two people with lower stacks than you. I think you definitely can 3-bet get it in here with Ace King suited. I could be wrong on that front, but yeah, I think it's a decent play. F for Fintan, D+ for Tonka. All right, well I'll try a little bit better next time. It was a little bit high, to be honest, high pitch, that one. I can do it better. I can do it better. Hopefully we do get one more opportunity. It's not going to be this hand, as we do see. Did Shaman bet the turn here? I tuned out because I was thinking about my Everybody Loves Chop Pot. Darn. I was going to say, if Shaman goes for the triple barrel here, could potentially see it working. In fact, most likely would work. Damn, BRZ is going to be in another tough spot. BRZ's had not a ton of tough spots, but a ton of playable hands, but, you know, really borderline playable hands here. Do expect to see Teddy Punk move it in for their 20 for 18 big blinds here. And then, again, BRZ to be in just a world of hurt. That's a super quick jam, though. I feel like BRZ should be able to find the fold here. Just going back to what we've talked about multiple times, pocket pairs, these low to middle pocket pairs, just not too great on final tables. Mostly want to be having those big cards, and the same does apply in this scenario here. And they do find the fold. BRZ playing pretty solid, playing pretty solid in a couple of these scenarios. Done a few things that, you know, counterintuitive, defending the big blind a little bit too wide, but, you know, they've made some nice moves with some of these cuspy borderline hands, and it looks like immediately rewarded with the 2 kings. Fintan is back.
Let's go. What's going on? I just needed to take a little moment after your attempt at the jingle. But look, all good. We're back.
What? Stop. What did you even mean, by the way?
I can't remember. Let's get involved here with the action. It's Kings versus 7. I would imagine we get the full. My mom. I did just walk past her, obviously, because I'm staying in her house, like I mentioned. But she said 2 things. First off, she told me to say she still absolutely loves your laugh. And secondly, she told me to say, you might not believe it, but she told me to say she has never seen you looking better. So maybe you just see yourself every day. And I seen you. I thought you looked fantastic. My mom thinks you look fantastic. My mom is single, so just, you know, maybe lay off.
But, you really trying to set me up with your mum live on the PokerStars Central channel.
I can't be calling you my dad. That's just not going to be happening.
Yeah, no, I didn't deny that I don't look better. What I said was it's an optical illusion. I said I might look better, but like I haven't like lost a bunch of weight or anything like that, you know? I've just learned how to mask the overweightedness and to, you know, look a little bit better in my old age. That's great. All.
You look fantastic. Also, I really like the way your hair. I love the curls. It's show the curls.
I let it grow out a little bit longer this time, you know? Like my hair is fantastic. Disturbingly curly, dude. It's insanely curly. It looks great. Well, thank you. Picking up the action. Whoa, picking up the action. We have some action indeed. Money, man. This guy definitely messes around. I played a lot of hands with Money Fintan. And before this deep run in the Sunday Million, I would absolutely not have guessed that he would have been, you know, this out of order in a bunch of these spots. Not that I'm not saying it's bad in any way. I think it's quite cool. I
just mean very aggressive.
Yeah, just not quite to be expected. And a BRZ in the tank with Queen 10 here, by the way, must smell that something is off because, yeah, deep in the tank with Queen 10, no equity, no draw, no nothing. And clearly they're thinking about doing something extra naughty.
It's one of those spots where even if you want to do it, with that hand, it's really, really, really tough because you can't just call and be out of position on the river and then start
Right,
like
you would have had
dunking in some weird way.
BRC would have had to click it back there, right? They would have had to do
Yeah,
something wild. BRZ kind of in this tricky spot now where they might think that they want to play aggressive because tight aggro might be on the tighter side, but they do have less chips than them. So it's tough to be, playing any two cards or playing a loose range in a small blind there. You raising this ace-5 suited with the short stack? I mean,
yeah,
I am, but
I think ace-5 suited is the one. Like, if you look it up and you're like, I'm not sure, you can do what you want with ace-5 suited. There's a reason why
just that's the hand.
Yeah, it actually is though. I don't know the logic. I don't get it, but I'll listen to the smarter people than me. You don't fold ace-5 suited. If you have ace-6 suited, maybe throw it in the bin. Oh, we could have a very big pot.
Ooh, wow. What is going to happen here? I mean, dude, there's a chance that Teddy Punk just folds the jacks. I don't think it's very likely, but if we see a 3-bet from BRZ here, I wouldn't... Oh, my goodness, and a peel from the dude. We're definitely going to see a 3-bet from BRZ, 100%. Yeah. And then it's going to be tough for Teddy. What are you thinking?
I'm the biggest Pocket Jacks fan in the world, but this is the second time on a final table where I would be absolutely petrified. Because, yeah, sure, the flat makes it a little bit more likely they're going to squeeze. But, like, the Vizek has opened off, like, what is it, 20 big blinds under the gun at 2.5x, and you're squeezing to a size that you can't fold? Like, what's the worst hand you think that BRZ re-raise gets in here? Like ace king, ace queen suited,
kings, and maybe ace king suited. I think the way that BRZ is meant to play in this spot is basically they have queens, kings, and aces, and maybe ace king suited for value. Wow, we see the fold. I tapped the table with Teddy Punk there. That's a nice fold. Fantastic I think that's genuinely a nice fold. I think it's really tough for BRZ to 3-bet call any worse hand than pocket jacks. And they're also not going to be folding very often or ever really. I just think it's a good fold. Yeah.
Very good fold. Very good fold. Look, I honestly don't think it's the toughest fold in the world, but I think it's one of those situations where you're starting to get a little bit shorter.
I think it's a tough fold, man. I think it's a tough fold. I might not make it in game. Genuinely, I might not make it in game. I'm looking at it now, seeing the aces, talking about it yeah, it's definitely a good fold, but man, it's a tough fold to make in game. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna do it.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness! I was gonna say it wouldn't put it past Shaman to go for a set mine here, and oh my god.
BRZ's out of this tournament. It's so unlikely to see a world in which these chips don't go flying. They might necessarily not go flying on the flop.
Look at Vezik's hand, by the way.
Yeah, could have been set over aces, but...
What? I'm waiting for the jack on the turn. What does Shaman do? Go for the min raise, go for the jam, go for the call? What are you thinking?
I honestly would probably just call here, but that doesn't mean it's right. Because they're probably just... If everything I said about the range that BRZ has... Surely they're just going to get it in against us. But I don't really know how you
I mean, BRZ is just going to jam now, and Shaman's just going to call. I mean, that's just whoo-wee. Especially because Shaman is only perceivably has 10s and 8s, and there it is. Wow, overwhelming chip leader. BRZ exiting in just a tragic way.
Yeah, $15,889 for BRZ. We are down to 6 players. Shaman is up to 36 million. In chips. That looks like it's about 40% of the chips in play. That is quite the pot. Great fold from Teddy Punk.
Game. If Teddy doesn't make the great fold with jacks, that never happens, right? If Teddy doesn't make the fold with jacks, and puts his 6.3 million in with jacks, Teddy's gone, and BRZ's got 18 million. It's a wild game. Rough.
Diagnose says Vizek is kicking themselves. I don't think so. I think that's just a fold that if you're, playing poker a long time, you're always going to fold 8s there. And yes, you would have made a set, but it's very, very tough to ever want to make a set.
The 8 says the easiest decision.
You know what would have been a super tough decision? If you had jacks instead of the 8s. And oh, wow.
Whoa, they're really trying to get us home. They're really trying to get us out of here, aren't they?
So, Vizek, I would open this.
Oh my goodness. It's all in. Three-way all
huge.
Three-way all in. Wow.
Can a queen ever find a fold here?
No way. No way.
Should they? Should they ever find a fold here?
No way.
Dude, they're going to fold. If they don't snap, they're going to fold.
Stop.
Dude, we've seen some crazy folds. They're actually going to do it.
No way. This one's not getting folded. I cannot abide by that one. Is he gonna fold queens?
I would not fold. I would not fold, but I actually think they're just going to make a stick fold.
Pairs gonna ISO with like pocket nines, Fintan.
Dude, I'm saying I wouldn't fold. I don't know. I'm not folding.
Well, what a
It is a
crazy fold this
very,
would be.
very big ladder potentially.
Man, this would be the final table of like the nuttiest folds of all time. But the thing about the ladder here is, right, is they're most likely going to get the ladder.
Craziness.
You're going to get the ladder regardless, though, when you call here, right?
Not
regardless, but like the only way that you don't get the ladder.
Wow, he folds, and it's kings against Jack 9. Vizek flops a good shot, needs an 8 to survive. One is dead. Jack is no
How much of a genius does tight aggro feel like right now? How much of an absolute genius, and what a genius they are. Dude, what is going on this final table?
Wow,
GG to
Vezek. Gets knocked out in 6th place for $21,000. Every player is now guaranteed $30,000. That is a crazy, crazy, crazy fold. They folded queens in a spot where they could have just had all the chips, but they wouldn't have. They would have been out.
Whew. Money coming in with the Jack 9 suit. Expect the Queen 10 suit to come along as well. Wouldn't put it past Shaman to go for a stab here on the flop, but yeah, wouldn't put it past Shaman to go for a stab here. And they do. Probably seeing a fold from money, even though they did flop a backdoor flush draw on a gut shot. It's a tough spot to put more chips in, but I guess once you're 5-handed here, you know, it does loosen up Fintan a little bit. Players, oh my goodness, what a turn.
That's an action turn card.
It's probably not really going to be an action turn card, though. Whoa, jeez Louise, it is going to be an action turn card. Never mind, I was about to say that it's probably just going to go check through here, but...
I was going to say, is there any way Teddy Punk could make the most sick fold yet again?
Not on the turn. I think you'd have to continue for the... But maybe, dude, because when you think about the way that money is going to lead out this turn here, it's going to be with flushes and straights, right? They're not going to lead any other hands for value. If you just got to fold in Teddy's spot, what do you do?
I think... So here's the thing. I think it's impossible for money to be bluffing. There we go. We see the call.
Damn. Wow. But you were going to say he's going to call, eh? Damn. Holy smokes.
We're down to 4 players on the Sunday Million. We lost Teddy there in 5th place. Wow. That was a sick spot. But I don't really see how he can fold against money. They came in as chip leader. They've been doing crazy things all day. But when the cards went to showdown and the pots were massive, they did tend to have it. The final table has had some of the craziest folds and some of the wildest action I've ever seen on a Sunday Million final table. We are already down to 4 players. It feels like we've been on this stream for about 20 minutes, but we're down to 4.
I know, that's what I was about to say. Like, remember when before this stream started and we were in the loading call, and I was like, "How long do you guys think this will take?" Like, usually takes what, like 7-8 hours for like the whole entire day of Sunday Million. They're like, "Nah, 4 or 5," and here we are, just 3 hours in with only 4 players remaining. I mean,
it's been incredible. Money too. I got a little bit of information. People were asking about where the player's from. Money is from Russia. They have won an $11 scoop event. No problem. They've won an $11 scoop event for $25K back in 2020, but their best ever online result was in 2016. The 215 Sunday Million, 4th place, much better than I've ever done, and they had almost a 6-figure score. It was $97,000. While Parker is taking a little break, we may as well go through a few more. We have Pure, who is playing from the Czech Republic, another player who is guaranteed their best ever score. I did not read these in the right order. I'm sorry, Patrick. But this is a fairly new account. The best online result is 2021, the 109 Sunday Million for 90th place for $1,200. So they're guaranteed at least 30K now, right? So this is a huge improvement on their best ever score. We may as well go through the last 2. Shaman, 78, playing for Germany. We've seen they have got a huge chip lead after winning that pot with the deuces. It was an incredible cooler. What can you do? But they are up to, I believe it's about 35 million. Their total PokerStars earnings are around $5,000, so they are in a chance. Well, they've already smashed it out of the park, but they are with a chance of just killing it, up to over 20x, a 6-figure score. It's incredible. The best ever score they've had is $2,500. I love those stories. We've seen them do a few things that maybe myself and Parker wouldn't do, but they are the ones on the final table playing for 6 figures. They've got a massive chip lead. They've been incredibly entertaining to watch. So I'm rooting for one of the guys that have not had the big scores. And finally, Tide Aggro 88, playing for Norway, playing from Norway, excuse me. They're also guaranteed their best ever score. The best online result was in 2009 in the 109 rebuy for 6th place, $5,588. They have been playing at least for 12 years and probably longer, and now they are on the final table of the Sunday Million. Guaranteed their best ever score. They normally play low stakes. We have so many players that are in with a chance of having their best ever score. We have so many players that usually play low stakes. This is a fantastic setup. We're down to 4 players. You all right, Parker? You ready?
Yes, sir.
Did you just have to go splash some water in your face, do a few jumping jacks, and get ready to close this out? Because it has been absolute madness.
I just realized that I've sat here for 3 hours straight. I think I got up to get my coffee mug at one point, but other than that, I haven't taken a bathroom break yet. And I was exploding.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. So we have 4 players left. Parker, 3 of the 4 players are guaranteed to beat their best score already. So we have a couple of guys who are playing low stakes. This is honestly, this has been. Look, I said it the last 2 breaks, so it's hardly original, but this has been absolutely incredible to watch. Exactly what we were hoping for. I was hoping for one player to
be a wild win, right? Yeah,
But we've just had it left, right, and center. But in the midst of the madness, we've just seen some of the best folds that you're going to see. We've seen jacks fold pre-flop. We've seen queens fold in a crazy situation, and they were actually right. Like, it's one thing to fold queens on a final table, and then they just turn over 9s and ace-10, and you're like, ah. But they had kings. They went Phil Hellmuth. It was that white magic. It was unbelievable.
There's been some. I cannot believe the folds that we've seen. The amount of crazy big pairs folding and the amount of times that they've been right is like just unreal.
I don't think we've seen one be wrong, have we?
Well, Jacks wasn't like wrong, but they raised folded the Jacks against the Ace King.
You want to put your tournament on the line with Jacks?
Like I said, not necessarily wrong, but I mean they were ahead technically, so I guess technically it was wrong.
I do appreciate
all the technical.
Yeah. This is just pedantic P Diddy all day apparently, but thanks for all the messages in the chat. It's great to be back on Twitch. I always love doing this commentary, and it feels extra special today, given that I'm with one of my oldest friends in the world, young Parker Talbot. We are down to 4 players. The action has resumed. Every player is guaranteed $41,500. I said 30K when we were on the break. I got it wrong. Slaps on the wrist for Finty. One player is going to walk away with at least... Well, I shouldn't say that because there could be a deal. There actually wouldn't surprise me given what I've just read out on that break, given...
Oh, if we do see a deal. I assume it's money, right? I assume it's money that has cash for more.
Okay, so I'll give you another quick recap just so that you kind of get filled in a little bit. So Pure, his biggest ever score, it's a kind of new count, but his biggest ever score was 90th place in the Sunday Million for $1,200. So Pure has already smashed it out of the park. Then the Tight Aggro 88, their best ever score. You're gonna love this one. I wish you had been here the first time. 2009 109 rebuy, 6th place, $5,500. They're usually a low stakes player, so like they have been on the grind. Then we have.
109 rebuy, what a throwback tournament as well.
Exactly. The best score ever for Shaman is $2,500. So we just have amazing stuff here. And then Money is the most regular. They have won a scoop title for $25K, and their biggest ever score was almost $100K in 2016 in the Sunday Million. So 3 of the 4 players are in a position they have never ever been close to before. So it would not surprise me if we see a deal.
If we see a deal, even with Money, but I would say that if Money somehow gets busted out, then we will definitely be more inclined to see a deal, right? And we do see Shaman. Shaman's not shying away from it at all, right? This fella.
Do you know what I always thought when I was a low stakes player? It's easy to say it before you've ever been in a situation, but I was always like, dude, like when my biggest score was like 1K, I was like, dude, if I ever made the final table of Sunday Million and I was down to the last 4 or 5 and I was guaranteed 40, 50, 60K, I've already won. Like the rest of this is a free roll. And I'm going to go fire. And honestly, sometimes it's been to a fault, but even the biggest final tables I've made since in my career, I've always been absolutely going as nuts as I think is right. I'm capable of it. I'm not saying what these guys are doing, but I have that mindset. Some people are afraid to not win more, whereas I'm like, dude, what? This is a great day. We played some poker for 2 days.
Sorry to interrupt you, Fintan, but we have a savage bet here from Shaman. He 3-bet the small blind there, continued on the flop, and then just fired out a 7 million chip bet on the turn. and absolutely got the job done. That was wild. Sorry.
No, it's all good. One thing I do want to talk to you about, which I have not brought up, and you've been giving some fantastic lessons today. I think you've been doing a great job. But you are the last person on this planet to have defeated Phil Hellmuth heads up in a televised setting, I believe.
Oh, yeah, I literally am, aren't I?
You are. And he has been destroying everybody, as we see both players flop top pair, which could get interesting. We'll keep an eye on it. He's been destroying everyone in his path. So I would like to know, how do you beat Phil Hellmuth? Like, how did that go down? Did you get inside his head, or did you just run well?
I definitely got in his head, no, 100%.
Did you?
No, honestly, I can only remember one hand from that heads up, and it was like him like donk overbetting the turn like a Phil Hellmuth freak move, and me calling with like a straight draw and a flush draw, hitting the river, him snap moving all in, and me just snap calling him, and then showing him the bad news, and him just, he had trips and I had a flush, right? And he just like showing him the bad news, and he just immediately just like gets up, you know, cards in his hand, flicking his cards, like, how do I lose to these guys? You know, it was it's a beautiful moment. It was a beautiful moment.
I absolutely love Phil Hellmuth.
Everyone with a playable hand.
Hello. Sorry. Good time.
Everyone with a playable hand. Even Pierre could have raised the Queen 4 suited potentially in the cutoff if they were feeling frisky. But I'm curious to see if Shaman goes to 3-bet here. So Shaman has shown that they are not at all shy from 3-betting with their weaker hands, you know. But like, will they do it with the stronger hands? And it looks like yes, and I assume this is probably going to work.
The one thing I would say with tens, if either of these players back race all in, I don't think you can fold, but it's like so sad if Tiger aggro is the one who does it.
Yeah. I will say though, once you're four-handed here with these stacks and like this chip lead, I think you're like, you know, pretty okay in the clear to get it in with tens here, to like go for it, you know.
Yeah, because they can perceive you to be getting a little out of line. They pull the trigger with a little ace-5 suit.
I would have loved to see a 3-bet from Queen Deuce offsuit there, Fintan, and just to see Shaman just let them know that this is my final table and you are playing at my final table. You know,
dude,
just type it in the chat even too.
I'm sure I've told you this story before. I've definitely told my stream before. But when I first started playing online poker when I was 18 years old, every single time that I would change table, I would either raise or 3-bet and just type "I'm table captain now," and like it didn't matter. I was like, I'm letting them know, no matter what.
Man, I can remember being on a final table.
Was great.
Oh, it was so good. Ooh, double gut shot, and a 6 could be a real action card.
Oh my God. Parker just jinxed it.
He goes for the check as well. Shaman is a genius. This guy's a legend. He goes for the check as well, going for the check raise.
If we see like 1 point... What? How have they got away with it?
Oh my God, this should have been an all-in. We should have lost a player. That's crazy. The double check back with the A6? What is going on?
Dude, there is absolute spidey senses tingling left, right, and center on this FT.
Pierre just dodged like his bullet. Damn. Man. Oh yeah, I was going to say, back in the good old days, back when I was like maybe 19 years old, my dad was watching me on a final table, Fintan. And I was just like, yeah, this guy's crazy aggressive. And I was like, sometimes you just got to let him know, you know? And I think I just 3-bet jammed like 50 bigs with King 2-0 and then showed them. And I was just like, you know, sometimes you just got to tell them like to not push you around anymore. And I was just like, yeah, dude, you just do it just like this.
I love when we tell these stories and then people will come into our streams like, oh, so like, did you have a $50 bankroll and then just like run it up without ever redepositing? And I'm like, no, dude.
This is Shaman's tournament to lose, by the way. I mean, absolutely smashing, crushing, playing aggressive and well, smashing every single flop. The good thing about Pierre is they seem like they're quite conservative once they get post flop with bluffing and firing bets. Man, Shaman just no slowing down. We are on a 30-minute delay to protect the integrity of the game, of course. Otherwise, if we weren't, of course, the players could just come in and see the cards. And that would not be ideal.
Have you ever tried doing a no delay cards down stream? I love doing it, but people just don't want to watch it. Like, obviously, some people do.
It, yeah. I don't like the idea of it either. I don't really like the idea of it. Don't shove, Shaman. Just call. I feel like he's gonna shove.
Little bit of rope. No, I don't think so.
I think
don't
they're
think
gonna
so.
shove, but
So when you think about this situation, and it's like, what does shoving achieve? Like, if they have a jack, you're stacking them anyway, and they're not check raise getting it in worse. I don't think so. That's why I would like to
potentially
call. Maybe they just
overpairs.
think
Like,
they run with most draws. Do you think people would check raise an overpair though? Do you actually think that's something that people do?
no, I don't. I don't think so. I think I think it definitely makes most sense to call, of course, here. But just to get in the head of Shaman, I would assume that they're probably thinking like at this point, one, my opponent might not have very many bluffs, and the bluffs that my opponent might have are indeed going to be flush draws that they're just going with anyways. So like I think
Really?
it's like I think that's like how people are gonna approach the spot. I don't really know that that's the case of how it's gonna work out, but I do think that players in Shaman's shoes, average folks, most folks, myself a couple years ago, would consider that check raise there is mostly going to be not a pure bluff like Pure had, not a complete just zero ball, no nothing, ace five, no spades. I think they're going to assume it's a little bit stronger. But picking up the action, we come into a limp and a min bet, or was this a raise before the flop?
I was honestly trying to learn off you, so I zoned out. I was listening. I was
Looks
listening
like
to
it
the
had to
goals.
be a
Out of your mouth.
raise. Looks like it had to be a raise, I think, and then a small bet on the flop and a check on the turn. Tight aggro could definitely go for a small milker bet here. Maybe 6, 7, 800,000. Money, I bet you money shows it down. Oh no, it was a raised pot, wasn't it? No, money will have to bluff, I think. If this was a limped pot, I would feel good about showing down. But in a raised pot, I don't think you really get to. I think it's a little bit too tough. But you do see a snap call from tight aggro. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, we do see the blinds going up as well. We're playing a big blind 400,000, which means that Pure is just below the 20 big blind mark. We are seeing 130 big blinds, 30 big blinds, almost 40 and 20. I hope that Pure hasn't been watching the broadcast and I've been banging on about ace 5 suit and they're like, he said I can do what I want. So I'm going to re-raise, I'm going to check raise. Like, that's what that man said, and I'm going to hold him accountable.
By the way, Shaman just turned an open-ender and money has ace-high gut shot, so I do not expect to see Shaman slowing down after they bet the flop, and I do not expect to see money folding. So we're going to at least see a river, and then I'm interested. We have seen Shaman shy away from bluffing rivers on multiple occasions. So while they are a very aggressive foe, someone to deal with here, and they're playing quite try to them check it back here and give up, because that's definitely been so far the trend. I think the way that they've been playing.
I'm gonna find the bluff. Shaman's gonna find it. They have 50 million chips. They have Jack High. Parker just knows how these people play. We got asked in the chat, what is the best finish in the Sunday Million of U2 casters? I have made the final two tables twice. I think I got 17th and 13th. I have never FT'd it. Parker has FT'd it multiple times and has best place finish, I believe, of second place when it was a $215 buy.
I think I got second, sixth, and fourth or something. Fourth and ninth. I think I final table like 4 times or something.
Could we see a shove? We do see a shove, and I don't think we see a fold. It's a massive pot, 16 million chips. Deuces versus 8. Pure at risk. Needs a deuce on the river. That is not it. Crossbar challenge. We are down to 3 players. Pure leaves with $41,000. Not a bad score, considering that their best ever score to date was $1,200. Playing for the Czech Republic. Got to be happy with that showing. Showed a lot of heart. Got 4th place. Money picks up a huge pot, and we are down to 3 players.
Great showing from Pure there. Definitely had some situations where they might have been, in some tough situations that they might not have been before, just on account of what you were saying with their previous biggest score being $1,200, I believe. So amazing finish for them. Probably seeing money fold here. Another just nutted flop, nutted hand for Shaman. Oh, money getting sticky with the king queen. Do expect to see a fold on the river though. I mean, this would be very, especially on a 5 river. So even if we did consider Shaman to be, bluffing everything that they could possibly be bluffing, which would be like, 6-8, 6-5, maybe even a 5-3 suited. All of those hands are going to connect with a little something on this river even. So just so hard for Shaman to be bluffing, I would say. Money not going anywhere yet though, Fintan.
It doesn't really make sense to ever bluff this hand though, so they would probably just be considering calling, and they do get out of the way.
So
Honestly, good.
tight aggro, basically, by the way, has played I think 2 or 3 hands on the final table, and they're just 3-handed. They played those queens, and I can't remember another hand that they played.
They didn't
Just
play
an
those queens.
absolute
They just made a
masterclass in
ridiculous
bluffing.
fold. Yeah, they didn't
Oh
even
my
play the
god,
queen.
they folded those queens. No, I meant the boat. I meant when BRZ tried to bluff them on the
Sorry.
green check.
Yeah.
But oh my god, I forgot that tight aggro made the fucking insanest of insane folds with queens.
All right,
Oh
so
my
we do
lord.
see money 2 with the top pair. It's kind of interesting on the flop because even though they are second in chips and they want to be somewhat cautious, I would feel comfortable check raising king queen on this board. But on that turn card, we are seeing at least a double barrel. And now Parker said that Shaman has not gone for it and fired 3, but
This is the
even though
spot.
the
This is the
jack,
chance. Ooh, ruined.
I still think they have to do it. Right, look, the jack,
100% they
jack.
still do it.
Sorry, I still think they
No,
will
no,
do
go
it
ahead.
this time.
Yeah. Oh, you think
I
they
think they
will
will.
do it? Okay. Oh! Snap call coming from money.
Unfortunately, yeah. Not unfortunately for anyone, but just like your bluff's not going to work.
Yeah. I think that was fine play though. The problem with Shaman's spot, even though we immediately go, oh, sad river to bluff, the 5 pairing, the draws bricking, everything bricking out. Yeah, I think Shaman's still got to bluff the 3 deuce because what if your opponent has like king jack of spades, for like a king high with like a straight draw and a flush draw, that's still beating your 3 high. So when you bluff the 3 high, you're not necessarily trying to get your opponent to fold a hand like they had, like the king queen or something. Potentially trying to get them to fold just a high card or something a little bit worse. Probably not going to see too much action here unless Shaman is feeling frisky, but after losing that big pot, I doubt that that's the case. Kind of feels like at the moment we're seeing a little precursor to what the heads up might be, as tight aggro does mostly get dealt bad hands and sit and chill. But I mean, 8-9 offsuit on the button here, you could consider opening that one, but tight aggro, playing a tight aggro style, likely just passing. Shaman pumping it up with the jack 8 suited. Go ahead.
No, I just like when people are honest with their,
and they play by their name. Yeah,
I don't like when someone's like, I never bluff, and then they show you like 5 high. That makes me genuinely upset. It's like, you thought of that name. I don't care if it's poker. Like, come on, there's got to be a level where you're just a gentleman. You play it honestly. Your screen name. I remember there's an old thread, and they used to have like the perfect screen names of when things were going down. It was like, I never fold 8-9, and then it's like this massive pot where they've called 4th pair for like, 100 big blind cash game or whatever. I love it.
All right, Jack 7, man. Shaman is really is blast his weight around. Honestly, Shaman's playing great here in this 3-handed. I think that A6 bluff before was a little bit wild, but honestly, potentially not even like too bad. Like, I think Shaman is really doing a good job of blasting their stack around and probably making the correct assumption that tight aggro is indeed playing tight aggro, and so that they really only have to get through money. Damn, money going for the check raise. I'm not expecting to see Shaman fold with a gut shot and two overs here. And that could be Shaman's turn card. We might see a check and a bet here, Fintan, and money's going to be hard-pressed to put more chips in the pot. Probably going to. Okay, they go for the small bet. Oh, and a snap fold. Darn. I thought Shaman would be a little bit stickier than that, I'm not going to lie.
So easy for us to say looking at it, but it would have been against that size on that turn, so gangster to raise. I think you're meant to check that turn a lot, but...
yeah, I mean, the ace is like
the
ace is quite a poor card, right? I mean, you say unless you're going for it, like money is meant to be like start to bluffing his like 9-6, like if we're turning top pair on the flop.
Yeah, when I say going for it, I feel like you should be a little bit more polar, like with your size. That's how I would play that spot on an ace turn.
Okay.
I could definitely be wrong, but like I would not be thinly betting the turn, so I wouldn't really be using 1/3.
Okay.
Could absolutely be wrong on the final table, but that's how I would play it. Chat, you're trying to catch me. I said gentleman. Most of the time I say him or her, or I say they. I don't know the gender of anyone, so if I just use the word gentleman. So like, if you want to catch me out, yeah, they could be a gentlewoman too. There you go. Apologies for 2 seconds.
I've been trying to use they, but it's a difficult habit to break out of. Obviously, just calling everybody him or he. But yeah, been attempting to use they as much as we can. And we do see Shaman making a good hand here. Money, I assume this went check on the flop and then small bet on the turn. Money with a bluff catcher only and not even going to think about it with the 6-5. Shaman is choosing interesting hands to isolate with. They use the Jack-8 suited before, using a little bit more of the in-between, like, strongish hands, whereas, generally, the way that I'm playing, I'm using, a lot worse hands than a lot better hands, and not so much the middle ground. Definitely tight aggro is going to play this one. Oh my goodness, the insta all in. Okay. That's probably going to get the job done.
Money definitely not going to be folding Jack-9.
Kings for sure. Magnets.
This is confirmed the final 3 players. Every player is guaranteed $57,000, $78,000 for second place, and first place is $108,784. And of course, the title, the Sunday Million winner. Something that I still dream of adding to my resume someday. It's one of those tournaments.
Honestly, for real. I mean, I know I final tabled it a bunch, but I want to win it. Like I need to.
No, it's cool.
See, this is kind of exactly what I mean. I don't really fault them for raising the ace-4, but I would probably check the ace-4 back, and I might have raised last hand with the 7-5 offsuit. Just using if we do indeed get like limp raised on here, we'll have to fold the ace-4, which is not a big deal because it's only ace-4 offsuit, but we're also folding an ace in position. We do see the check back though, which is interesting. Money not wasting any time pumping some chips in the pot, and Shaman maybe floating here with the baby flush draw on the ace high. Not really the craziest thing to do.
It does have a feel that potentially we could see fireworks between Money and Shaman and see tight aggro
100%.
literally just sit it out the heads up, which is just 100%. Incredible effort if you can just like fold a lot of hands and end up with $78,000 and a chance to win.
We can literally see a 4-bet right here, Fintan. Like that's not outrageous at all.
No, very reasonable, but not a 4-bet all in.
No, definitely not. But I would expect Money to call more often than maybe choose to 4-bet like an ace-5 offsuit, as opposed to like an ace-10 offsuit. Ace-10 probably got just enough playability to call, and probably expect them to continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they've shown that they're very willing to get somewhat sticky against Shaman.
Interesting.
I would not.
Check too?
I would not try and bluff ace-10 here. Oh no!
Oh baby.
Ooh. Absolutely.
What kind of extraction?
Half potter.
Half potter for you, yeah.
You could probably go bigger, but I'm just a half potter.
I think it's one of those scenarios where like I would actually entertain a bet like this. Not really the biggest fan myself of the under half pot, but I don't think it's crazy in this scenario. Shaman's gonna pay. I don't really see them getting away from these queens.
We do swap chip leaders for the first time in quite some time. The player who came in as the chip leader today is the chip leader again, as we are 3-handed in the Sunday Million. It will be interesting to see. Look, Shaman still has chunks of chips, but sometimes it can be a weird psychological thing when you're the chip leader putting the pressure on, a few pots go against you, and then the roles are reversed. Like, can you keep your cool? Can you realize that you still have 80 big blinds? There's a player with 30 big blinds. You need to outlast them. You don't need to go for a battle. You don't need to get into an ego war with Money. But sometimes you see the red mist and you try and get those chips back. You don't need to do that. Just keep your composure.
See a long tank from tight aggro here, and then a limp call. I would have preferred to see a limp jam, just personally, knowing how Money is most likely going to isolate. We can see the Jack Deuce coming in here. So yeah, tight aggro. Likely better off just going all in, especially with Ace Deuce offsuit. Doesn't play that great out of position post flop Fintan. Damn, a quick 1/3 barrel. I actually quite like this. I think it's pretty cool. Puts a lot of pressure on basically all of tight aggro's middling hands, kind of exactly like this one. A pair of 5s, a pair of 3s, maybe like a pocket 6s if they manage to limp call that. Obviously, I think that's kind of crazy for them to limp call that, and we wouldn't expect them to, but also don't really expect them to limp call Ace Deuce offsuit too often. So could be some hands in there, and it does get the job done. I think that's a pretty nice turn bet there.
So this is quite an interesting spot, and Shaman actually does find a check. I was going to say will they adjust the fact that they're no longer the chip leader and they still have these kind of marginal hands? Will they find some more checks? And it looks like maybe they're going to just slow down a little, get their composure. I think we'll see a bet and a call here. Would be my guess.
Sounds to me like the way it's going to go. Expecting money to raise here. Probably seeing a call from tight aggro. Oh, no, a fold, okay. Honestly, not the craziest strategy, by the way, to be playing the way tight aggro is playing here with the way that Shaman and Money are playing. I mean, these two are battling, right? Like, they're getting in the mix. They're duking it out. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised to see Money continue with his King 8 to a Shaman bet here, you know? Like, not at all crazy just to completely sit back and take a back seat in tight aggro shoes here. And there we go. We see the continue from the King 8 to a half-pot bet even. I mean, this is that's crazy. That's a really crazy continue in my opinion. And here we go again, leading. Like, this is exactly what I mean, you know? It's absolute fireworks between these two. And tight aggro could easily just sit here and get himself a $22,000 payday almost.
It's a very tough river to bluff.
It's an incredible
I guess like, you're not repping a 7.
Yeah. I mean, I hate the bluff like this, to be honest. I'd love to see them literally go all in or something, you know, bet like 3 pots and just represent the 7.
Dude,
like,
if you went all in there, I would smash you into the pot. You think you're going to check all the 7 at that stack depth with the history that you have? Would you stop? I would have thrown my chips in before you even said all in. I would have just seen you.
I didn't think about that earlier in the hand. You're right.
We're about to see maybe action here, though. I don't know. Tight aggro is going to get check raised by Shaman, right? Given what we've seen.
Shaman might just sling it in, dude. He might just jam. They might just jam. Oh, just go for the raise. Tight aggro doesn't love life, but I feel like tight aggro will make this assessment that this guy's wild. Style.
Almost a flip. Wow.
Wow.
And there you go.
Not even stacks, but much more even.
Shaman has given a double up to tight aggro. Tight aggro has sat there, and it's not like they picked up an absolute monster, right? They just picked up an A6, they flopped top pair, and they went for it. So even though they have been like quite tight and they've been sitting up and letting the two players duke it out, when they got their opportunity, they weren't, overly tight.
They didn't shy away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now look, after all this, they're in a great position, and even more so, they'd nearly be tempted to chill, relax, see what happens between the other two.
Especially because you might consider that Shaman's going to be on tilt now. Lost the chip lead, just doubled up the shorty, literally middle of the pack. Could easily just, start not going their way. Money with the ISO here versus the King 2-0 limp. I think it's all right. Again, that Jack 6 suited is kind of like the middling hands that I'm talking about not being necessarily fantastic to be isolating. But, against a tight player where you're the chip leader against not the chip leader, it's totally reasonable just to isolate a ton of hands there, I think. You see a 4x, which is the first time that Money has not limped in the small blind, I believe, in this 3-handed. And we do see a very weak holding, weak board for them, but, not a decent spot to continue. If they bet again here, almost certainly going to get the job done, and Shaman will be folding the best hand. And I don't really see a world.
Should.
Yeah, I don't really see a world where Money doesn't continue betting here. I mean, the ace is just the greatest card in the deck for them. It gives them a gut shot, picking up equity for the first time, and yeah.
I do think if Shaman and tight aggro get even closer in stacks than they are now, we could see Money really amp up the aggression to the point where they'll probably start raising any 2 cards on the button, given what we've seen so far.
I mean, Money's tanking with 9-4 offsuit here.
Yeah, Money's been quite impressive. They've always tried to turn up the aggression. There was a few unfortunate pots a little while ago, but they kept their composure. They've got back into the game, and I'm actually kind of surprised they don't raise Queen 8 after, just because they've done it last time, but I guess they're just using their strategy is to use like their very worst hands, because like Jack Deuce is just such utter garbage.
Yeah, I would be using a lot of raises for sure in the small blind there. Probably would raise the Queen 8, and again, I do expect Money to do it as well, so kind of surprised.
I think if we see Shaman get down closer to 20, 25 big blind mark, maybe even 30 big blind, still probably start to turn the screw a little bit, but Shaman hasn't really shown any indication that they're willing to back down yet, and all you're going to be doing is bloating pots out of position. So I don't actually hate not raising all the time, right? Usually it's a strategy if you have like a very large stack and you're cover your opponent. There's an even short stack. A lot of the time you want to be raising. You want to be putting pressure on, but you need to be aware of how your opponent's responding to it, because you don't want to get into a slinging war and then you just lose a monster pot out of position with a very marginal hand.
Yeah, whereas you can even literally make the opposite argument for how money should play against tight aggro. As we watch tight aggro limp fold the queen 7 suited to the 3x when money has the queen 4 offsuit. If money was watching the stream and they saw the queen 7 suited, they might now be tempted to just isolate any 2 cards when tight aggro limps in, because if tight aggro is going to go ahead and limp fold the queen 7 suited, that's just going to simply be enough for money to just go all out and isolate probably every hand in the deck. It'll just immediately show a profit almost certainly if tight aggro is indeed going to play that tight.
See money with the ace-6 suited after winning the last hand with trips. Obviously not going to be folding, and given what we've seen with tight aggro, we would guess this is going to go into the bin.
Money really taking over here, eh? Up to 50 million chips almost. There's only 90 million chips in play. Currently sitting on almost 60%. It's definitely gonna. Oh, sorry. I thought money was in the butt with the ace-3. I was gonna say they're definitely gonna raise this one up. All right, tight aggro does go for it. Will Shaman fold? Nope. Okay.
Probably a board you want to be careful of just over betting on, but maybe ace tray you can with your image.
Yeah, I think with the way that tight aggro's image is working here, they should be able to get away with just like a lot of c betting, right? I mean they play very, very tight. Probably a raise and a 3-bet here.
It's kind of tricky though, right? I'm not saying it's not, but it's kind of tricky because you have to raise call. But then it's
yeah. I'd probably call with the ace-queen suited, I think, in a Shaman spot there. Because like you're saying, it's really tough to like 3-bet get it in with the ace-queen suited there. Maybe that's not true though. Maybe at this point, Fintan, when you're playing for so many chips, it's gonna loosen up a little bit.
True.
Like if Shaman doubles up,
it really changes everything.
Here, it changes everything, right? Now they're 1 of 3 in the commanding position with 60% of the chips in play. They get to hop back in the driver's seat and really, smashing their 2 opponents here.
Yeah, it's also delicate. It's always just changing dramatically, and it depends on the stacks and what you achieve. If you win the all-in, the ace-jack, you can't get in, I'm pretty sure. Like ace-jack off, I just don't think you can get in.
Yeah, that's more of a 3-bet bluff that they've gone for there, I'd say, than with the ace-queen, where they probably have to go with it.
They are playing rapidly, right? It's not, or is it just me?
It's nice that there's action. Yeah, it's nice that there's not even necessarily action, but like even if it's slow, even if the pots aren't too wild, at least they play swiftly. There's nothing worse than somebody tanking their entire tan bank every single hand on a final table, whether you're commentating or playing on it. Will Shaman jam? You think they're going to start mixing in jams when it hits around 20 big blinds, or you think they'll go for more of?
I'm not sure if it's needed. From given how tight aggro has responded to raises, if they started raising and making shoving over your raises and like making your life difficult, but I don't think I'd want to rip King 8 off here into tight aggro. I just don't think I would.
I agree. I think your point is literally getting proven as we speak here, right? I mean, tight aggro is considering a call here, I think. I don't think they're considering a jam. With the 8-6 suited, they're considering a call or a fold. And I think that's just a pretty easy defend, blind versus blind here, for facing a just over 3x raise. You have a nice connector in position, So I think, your point was immediately proven there, in that you just wouldn't need to go all in with those weaker kind of hands. Of course,
but like the reason we're saying these things is, like we said, is not to criticize at all. These players, particularly tight aggro, they've been playing for years and years. Their best score was the 109 rebuy back in 2009. Their biggest score before tonight was $5,500. They normally play low stakes. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. They've been playing poker for years and years, so it's completely understandable, like we've mentioned with the 2 players that are going at each other, that they're just going to play a little bit tight. So don't take it that we're trying to fire shots around. We're just giving our opinion of what we would do.
Like I said, dude, I think it's like legit, like the strat. I think tight aggro is like, I still would have played that 6-8 suited there, but for the most part, I think tight aggro is playing really solid and like the correct way to play here in just letting these 2 go at it. Shaman is still raising king deuce offsuit on the button as the lower stack, as half the stack money has, Shaman could just 100% bust in some crazy hand in the next 3 minutes. Like, that could just happen. And then again, tight aggro is laddered up. I think it's such a reasonable strategy, a reasonable way to play here. Have you got the locations on hand? I know Money is from Russia.
Yep.
I know Shaman is from Germany, I believe, and I do not know where Tight Aggro is from.
Tight Aggro is from Norway, and then Parker nailed the other two, Germany and Russia, as we see the all in here from the A7.
Expecting to see Money come in with a raise here and probably just take it down with the folds that we've seen Tight Aggro make in the big blind so far. Okay. There goes Shaman again. This time the Shaman's going to hear a little bit of noise, I think.
So one of the reasons why you might want to fold in this situation with King 4, it's quite marginal. Now, Tight Aggro hasn't given a sign that they're going to go too wild, but if you fold, you give the opportunity for the blind versus blind confrontation. Now, King 4 is close, but it's like you're opening to the chip leader who, once the shorter stack and the small blind folds, can really make your life miserable, and you're not going to make a lot of chips playing King 4. So it might be just something you want to consider, like just always being aware of the different stack sizes and how it affects what you can and can't do.
Yeah, that took me. It's a really nice point that you're making. It took me like a very long time to like comprehend that. You know that like when you fold, other things can happen that don't that you have no control over. Like two opponents clashing, like you just said, and one of them potentially busting. But like how that happening is like so huge for you in certain situations, and just how important it is to make even good hand folds, like potentially even folding like King 9 offsuit on the button. If the situation calls for it, where you think your opponents are going to clash a lot.
We do see Shaman
picking up the raise the button and just give up there, eh? Didn't even go for the continuation bet at all.
Oh, kind of unexpected. Does Money call after everything we've seen? I don't
know, man. Really tough.
18 bigs. Call! Huge pot. We need a queen or a 10 or Tight Aggro is out of here. Or a jack. That is no good.
We do have our heads up. My goodness.
An OG of the PokerStars streets, previous best score from the 109 rebuy in 2009. We are down to 2 players. Tight Aggro leaving with $57,000. It is Shaman versus Money. Money has been pretty flawless in this short-handed play, has accumulated a lot of chips, is the chip leader with over a 2-to-1 chip lead, playing for $108,000. It is quite a substantial heads up.
Here we go, kicking it off right away. Shaman coming in hot with the Queen 5 suited 3-bet. These guys are almost just over 50 big blinds deep here. I do not know that this will last very long, Fintan.
Yeah, if you're taking a break, making a cup of tea, getting your pajamas on, I would suggest not leaving just yet, because this is going to be fireworks. The only thing that was holding Shaman back a little bit was the fact that this shorter stack was there. But now the shackles are off. It's time to get loose. Money has never had a 6-figure score before. Came very close with just a couple of K under the 6-figure score, and I've only ever had one of them. I know you're a big time baller. You've had a good few at this point, but like having that 6-figure score, it's such a. It doesn't matter, but it just feels like an amazing achievement to like sit down, play poker, and win 6 figures in a night.
For sure, right? Of course, it's a milestone. If you play poker for X amount of time, it's a milestone, like it would be in any other career path or anything else. It's something you strive for. Once you get a bunch of those 10-figure scores, you're like, what's next on the menu? All right, a 6-figure.
10-figure scores, dude. I love a
7-figure score, baby. I'm waiting for the 7-figure. I don't know where it's been.
Yeah. Dude.
And so are you now.
Yeah, WQ main event, Lego.
WQ main event, baby. It's got to be one of us.
We've had a few sweats over the years out of the lads to have that 7-figure score.
Too many sweats,
One day.
honestly.
One day.
Shaman, for all the betting that Shaman does, very tricky player as well. I mean, double check that 7-5 straight before. Oh, and they've gotten it done here. Money has gone for the bluff. Oh, Shaman is definitely going to call.
Yeah. So the reason why you can't even really consider folding here is that, like, heads up, ranges are so much wider that you still get the bet this turn a lot. So when you check back a hand as strong as Ace-Jack, you just can't fold on the river. Because you never have a straight, really. So you just have an amazing hand to call.
So far, we've seen a lot of betting on the flop, but Money does opt to check, which is, I think, pretty good. Gonna wanna in heads-up poker, like Fintan just said, ranges end up getting so wide. Both players have so many hands that you end up doing just lots of checking on the flop. Whereas, in normal scenarios in tournaments, I think we do a lot of continuation betting. Nice little not thin, but nice solid value here from Shaman. Just going for it, most likely getting a call from Money as well. Although, maybe if Money has really been paying as much attention as we might have, they might have noticed that Shaman has not bluffed any rivers yet. So that would have been the first river bluff if they had made. Actually, that's not true. They bluffed the 3 deuce before. Money coming in hot and heavy with the 4-3 suited 3-bet. Fun to see. Gets an amazing flop. Would be
Decent
really
little
cool
board.
to see a check. Would be really cool to see a check here for money. I think it's one that players don't find. So money goes for the big bet as well. Whoa! And we see a quick float from Shaman. Wasn't expecting that. Was gonna say as well. I think money probably should use a smaller bet. I think it feels very, very good, very like intuitive to bet big, but I'm not sure that that's the play. Damn. No hesitation at all for money.
A lot of aggression.
This really is fireworks, isn't it?
Just as we expected it to be.
I mean, a 4-bet is coming. I don't know what you're thinking, but a 4-bet is coming. Yeah, there it is. There's the 4-bet.
I would not be surprised. It's tough. It's tough to pull the trigger. This has been a very entertaining game, and I'm actually... I would look. I had my favorites straight at the final table, but I think this is probably the most aggressive heads up we could have seen with these two players getting there.
100%, 100%. I mean, come on, Shaman peels the 7-5 offsuit. I mean, this individual is here to play. They really are.
7-5 suit or 7-5 offsuit is quite gangster. It's the only way I can describe it. The sheer speed at which they're playing at as well.
It's amazing. It's so nice.
I would imagine that when this is done, the two of them are going to need to catch their breath. Like we at one point, you literally forgot to get off your chair for over 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah. Can you imagine? All right, 5-6 offsuit and 5 deuce offsuit here. We'll probably see a raise and a 3-bet and a 4-bet. Not yet. Shaman, though, continuing with the 5 deuce, not slowing down in the slightest.
Alright, blinds are up. It is Shaman now, who is not getting short. Still has about 35 big blinds. Still has plenty of chips, but getting more in the danger zone, as Joe Stapleton would say. And in heads up, that danger zone is not quite the 10 to 20 big blinds. Like when you have 35 big blinds and you have these two players going at each other, there can be an all-in at any moment.
I'd say any stack size between these two. And they're both in the danger zone. I mean, look at his hand. Look at every hand, man. Shaman is a savage. This man is a savage, or this woman is a savage. They are they're defending 3-bets with 7-5 offsuit, 3-betting the 9-6 offsuit, double barreling wild hands all the time. I mean, all that Shaman is missing was just a couple river bluffs to be like the absolute Sunday Million savage of savages.
Did pull the trigger when they had the tray high though.
The 3 deuce. The 3 deuce.
Didn't pull out of that one.
We are going to see it continue from money. Whoa, man, money is making some legendary folds as well.
Nothing will quite match the fold of tight aggro of the queens.
Nothing will match that fold. Nothing will match that fold. I'm just beside myself at that fold. I cannot believe it. It's nuts. It's wild. What an amazing fold.
No way are we going to see 10-8 fold this turn, would be my guess. At least seeing a river card. And honestly, given the aggression of Shaman, I think...
Just going to show it down, though. Shaman's not a big river bluffer, I'm telling you. Especially with a hand like Queen High there. Honestly, not the craziest thing ever to assume that there would be showdown value with the Queen High there.
This could be all over. The jacks would be tricky on this final table.
If we don't see a jack, this is the final hand. Surely these guys, there's gonna be action. Yep, here we go.
So we could see a shove right here. It would not surprise me. I would call, but Shaman. All right, we do see the call. 10 on the turn. Does money ever lay the trap, or do they just go for it?
Nah, no way. They're gonna go for it. Whoa, they laid the trap. Holy smokes! I didn't.
Dude, if I have jacks right now, I am so comfortable getting all the chips in.
Same. I'm psyched. Money's gonna jam? No.
No, I just call, right? Given the way Shaman is playing, but then they're not a big river bluffer. I don't know.
I've got this hand too wrong already.
It's all over. It's a 4. Maybe we see a check.
Maybe we could see Shaman make a check back. That'd be pretty.
They should have a reasonable amount of 4s, right?
Yeah.
I might check.
Oh,
it's over.
no,
it's over. That's it. Boom.
Money is your champion.
Shaman getting second place, but the winner is Money, beating their second ever. Biggest score. Now they have their biggest, $108,000 and the title that is the Sunday Million. That was truly one of the most fun final tables that I have ever watched. I feel very privileged that I got to do it back on Twitch for the first time in a little while with one of my best friends in the world, Parker Talbot. That was madness.
Dude, that was wild. Yeah, I mean, you said final table, but like legit, it was like final 3 tables down that there was some just absolute maniacal behavior. Like that was nuts. That was thoroughly enjoyable. We saw some insane bluffs. We saw some insane folds. The heads up, like we said, probably not going to last very long. Literally lasted all of about 5 minutes. Yeah, I had a really good time. Honestly, a lot more fun than I was expecting to have commentating on this. And I hope, I know that Joe and James are the staple, obviously, but I hope they give us another shot. You seem just subscribed on the channel here.
I know, Sprague lurking as he always is. No, I had a great time. Parker, thank you so much for joining. Everyone at home who watched, thank you so much for watching. We will no doubt see you soon, and who knows, maybe we'll be back in the booth for a little bit of WQ commentary at some point down the line. For myself and Parker, aka Tonkaaaap, aka... No, I won't do it to you. Go on. We're out of here. Good night.
See you guys.